5 minutes ago, something shocking unfolded in Russia. Andrei Belozov, known for his calm, methodical nature, suddenly shattered his usual composure. Early in the morning, he confronted Dmitry Peskov directly, demanding answers about years of silence from the authorities. Where did 700 million rubles vanish? Through shadowy backgrounds and mysterious faces? Without backup, without witnesses, he approached Peskov's wall, a symbol of power. Only one thing remained, an unbreakable bomb waiting to explode. Why now? Why expose what was hidden all along? Why is Peskov's name at the very heart of this scheme? Stay tuned until the end, what you'll discover will blow your mind. Make sure to support this story with your attention, like, comment, and share. Now, let's begin. He always moved with urgency. As if himself were slipping through space, trying to stretch it. Early morning, Andrei Belozov, a man renowned for his sharp mind, entered his office as the city remained silent. This was a place where the air rarely carried the scent of trouble, a quiet hum of routine. His eyes, usually sharp and mathematical, held a different weight today. Inside him was a raging river, a swirling force unseen by others. Clutching a thin folder, he felt its fragile weight, deceptively small but potentially deadly. Behind the worn facade of an old building, two shadows lurked, barely visible. The folder arrived overnight, without warning or calls. It was an elusive message, one of those files few dared to discuss in official circles, sealed behind security barriers. A cryptic message from the Federal Security Service's closed chambers. Andrei Romanovich needed to see the city before unlocking its secrets. With a complex vehicle, he moved through narrow streets, a careful choreography of shadows. Beneath a low-hanging sky, he carried the folder, which was ice-cold, almost disembodied. Finally, he opened it. What struck him first wasn't numbers or schemes, but a deep, unsettling sense of reality slipping away. The document didn't match official reports. It contained discrepancies, assets that didn't exist, transactions flowing through shadowy companies, linked to influential figures whose names should have been hidden. He read the few lines twice, not from confusion, but from clarity. The biggest shock? The name that appeared prominently, Peskov. Not just an innocent mention in paperwork, no. His name was embedded in the core of this secret network, deep within a hidden layer of influence no journalist or analyst had ever glimpsed. This wasn't about corruption alone. It wasn't just influence or power. This was something darker. A nerve center, a nervous system of control that evaded detection. A secret structure that kept the puppet strings invisible. His face remained impassive, but inside, his mind braced. Chaos was lurking just beneath the surface. He closed the folder slowly. His thoughts raced. There was no turning back now. Carefully, he secured the document in a safe, a decision sealed in silence. A sudden noise echoed in the room, an unexpected intruder. The atmosphere grew charged. Every movement was scrutinized, the air thick with tension. He approached the mirror. The face reflecting back looked tired, yet hardened. The calm facade was a mask for the storm inside. He switched on his phone. No calls, no messages. Every second, the network was on edge. The walls had ears, sensing the approach of danger. He stepped into the corridor. Unusual figures moved swiftly past. Authorities, shadows, no one wanted to be caught in this web. Inside a small, windowless room, he found a secure terminal. Access was limited, only 4 knew the key. He logged in, the screen flickered. The mosaic of data began to form, fragments, files, calculations, hidden analytics. What he uncovered was terrifying. The network extended horizontally, beyond official chains of command, connecting powerful factions, rival groups, and distant interests. A structure capable of challenging the established order. Threatening a silent coup. He understood, with brutal clarity, this wasn't just corruption. This was broader. Deadlier. He made a decision. Regardless of the official investigations, he would act. He saw no loyalty left inside the system. Only a web of lies and shadows. Time was running out. Suddenly, the network sensed movement. A faint wind, like whispers of an impending storm. Key figures began to communicate in hushed tones. Questions bounced around, answers impossible to find. Some kept silent. Others moved in haste. The atmosphere grew thick with danger. The invisible threat was almost tangible, like a predator stalking unseen. He knew what was at stake. He pressed a button, a secret connection to a hidden power. It linked him to the one man who held the key to unraveling everything. Tomorrow, at dawn, a critical operation was set in motion. The new reality was awakening, dangerous, unpredictable. The cracks in the facade grew wider, those thin, almost imperceptible fractures transforming into a breach. In this fragile moment, the true nature of power revealed itself, shadowy, layered, impossible to grasp fully. Sometimes, to understand a man, you must look at what he hides, not what he shows. Andrei Belozov knew this better than anyone. His years studying the veiled mechanisms taught him, the strongest structures aren't built on official stories, but on what disappears. Hidden places. Impossible to trace. The shadows in this secret laboratory merged into one. Multiple lies layered, indistinguishable. He sat alone, illuminated only by the cold blue glow of a monitor. The screen displayed a hidden world, a life concealed behind masks. Old archives, diplomatic secrets, childhood fragments, all interconnected. Growing up amidst the corridors of power and diplomacy, he saw the discrepancies, disappeared years, erased traces, faint whispers of the truth. Some data had been wiped clean, others barely left a mark. His investigation revealed an elaborate puzzle, incomplete, yet tantalizingly close to the full picture. His focus sharpened on the shadowed figure of the agency. Every detail was a clue, every inconsistency a sign of something much larger. The moment his gaze landed on a suspicious file, the entire picture shifted. It was magnificent and horrifying. The hidden world of influence, where unseen groups maneuvered with precision, had begun to reveal itself. A network capable of controlling entire countries, manipulating events from behind the curtain. He understood, the game had changed. The facade was cracking. The entire system was on the brink of collapse. What is the true face of power? Its roots buried deep in deception. Its foundation hidden in the unseen. Andrei Belozov saw it all, and the shadows whispered that the real story had just begun. Previous part summary. After receiving an encrypted, suspicious document late at night, Andrei Romanovich Belozov prepares to confront a hidden web of corruption. As he opens the folder, shocking revelations about the involvement of high-level officials threaten to shake the entire foundation of power. He realizes the depth of the conspiracy and understands he's stepping into a dangerous game with no return. At the top of the building, against the corner of the desk, he pressed his finger to the cold, metal surface of the folder. It looked unremarkable, just an ordinary manila envelope. Yet, something about it felt different. The quiet hum of the city below seemed to fade as he finally cracked it open. His eyes immediately caught something that sent a jolt through his entire body, not numbers, not charts, not even the usual subscriber lists. Instead, a sense of unending complexity. Every line, every word, revealed a story not written in official documents. Assets that didn't match declarations. Funds transferred through post-war companies. The names of influential figures hidden behind layers of secrecy. He read the first few lines twice. Not because they were difficult, but because they hit too close. Among these stark revelations was a name that had become part of his support network, Peskov. His heart skipped. Official records claimed everything was transparent. But in that moment, it was clear he was staring into the core of something much darker. The name was embedded in the very fabric of the document, wrapped in the secret life of the unseen. It uncovered a shadowy world where journalists and experts never dared to tread. A realm where the White House itself seemed intertwined with covert operations, seated not just on the first floor but deep within the unseen corridors of influence. Andrei Romanovich's face remained calm, masking the storm inside. But his mind was racing, processing what he was seeing. This wasn't just about corruption or influence, it was something far different. The picture was silent but vivid, a network so tightly woven it resembled a nervous system. No one had looked at it before. No one dared. Now, he saw that the web had gone too far, beyond a simple scheme. Something was broken, and he knew it. Carefully, he closed the folder. Gently, he set it down, almost as if handling something fragile. For a moment, he was lost in thought, a single second of silence. Then, the weight of the decision pressed on him. It was easier to act now, almost as if he was running away from the truth. He grabbed the folder and hurried to put it into the safe. As he turned, a sudden sound shattered the quiet and unexpected noise from the other side of the room. His heart jolted. Every nerve ending on alert, there was no turning back now. He approached the mirror, standing by the side of the desk, and looked at himself. The face staring back was tired. In his eyes, there was no joy, only the weight of what he'd uncovered. He was no longer the man who checked the front of the camera. Now, he was someone who knew too much. Someone caught in a trap from which there was no escape. He reached for his phone but hesitated. No calls. No signals. Every action might alert someone. The air around him thickened with the scent of impending danger. The silence felt deafening, but he understood his next move would decide everything. He turned to the corridor, where security routines were unusual. Ordinary guards passed by like shadows, unaware of the storm brewing inside him. He slipped into a small, windowless room, a command center of fragments and fragments, pieces of a puzzle that refused to fit. A single terminal lit with a pale glow, connected to a closed network. Only 4 people had access here. He queued up files, calculations, fragments of analysis, pieces of an intricate mosaic. Every connection, every network link revealed a web of interests far beyond what anyone had suspected. It moved horizontally, sprawling across sectors, competing with official channels and unseen power rising. The realization hit him, this wasn't just corruption, it was an alternative structure, an underground force capable of challenging the authorities openly. And he knew he had to act. No matter the cost, he would confront this shadow. Deciding, his words heavy with resolve, he prepared for the operation's initiation. Tomorrow, at dawn, a narrow circle would gather. No outsiders. No chance to back out. Only the truth ready to be uncovered. This new reality was forming fast. The facade was cracking, thin and brittle. The cracks grew wider, almost audible in the quiet. And behind the veneer, a dangerous truth was unfolding. To understand a person, sometimes you must look at what they hide. Andrei Belozov knew it better than most. The strongest systems are built on secrets buried deep, information erased or forged to fit a lie. The shadows had overshadowed everything, concealed behind walls no one dared to peer through. In that dark room, illuminated only by the flickering screen, he stared at the digital web, the living fabric of lies and control. He saw a history mapped in fragments, old diplomatic archives, hidden in plain sight. A boy who grew up in diplomatic corridors, moving from the Middle East to Europe. Yet, his past was a web of contradictions, incomplete and blurred. The documents spoke of disappearances, missing years, erased traces. The boy's true identity hidden, replaced by false layers. In some records, he was in one country, in others, a different place altogether. The puzzle deepened. And in the shadows of the files, the true core lurked, a secret laboratory where shadows merged and identities dissolved. Layers of cover stories, forged evidence, all meant to hide what was truly happening. No confirmation, only whispers and fragments, created to persuade others to look away. His gaze fixed on the chaos on screen, an endless spiral of intrigue. The web of influence stretched far beyond the visible, tangled with political interests, covert operations, and unseen alliances. The signals came from nowhere and everywhere, an intricate game that only a select few knew how to play. And as the threat drew closer, he felt it, how thin the veneer was, how fragile the illusion. The shadows had awakened. The truth was ready to explode. Andrei Romanovich Belozov understood, this was no longer just an investigation. It was a fight for the soul of the nation. And he had stepped directly into the eye of the storm. A second thought vanished instantly. The decision was made. The moment he stepped back, it felt almost effortless, like slipping out of a trap. He hurriedly placed the folder into the safe. Suddenly, a loud noise broke the silence. Every eye in the room turned sharply in his direction. Everything in the cabinet, the sound, the smell, it all became painfully clear. There was no turning back now. He approached the mirror, gazing at his own reflection. His face was weary, shadowed by the weight of what he had just uncovered. The tiredness in his eyes betrayed the storm inside. He realized that he had reached the point of no return, the moment when the mind ceases to think, only reacts. His trembling fingers brushed his phone, but he didn't make a call. Not yet. Because any sound, any movement, could give him away. The network could sense approaching danger, it always did. He knew there was work to be done. His face remained impassive as he declared himself almost innocent, but he felt the tension mounting. Stepping into the corridor, he sensed the strange atmosphere. The police officers that morning were nowhere to be seen, already far from the scene, their presence untraceable. The corridors, the floors, these were places where people were considered mere shadows. He entered a small, windowless analytical room, no cameras, no security, just a cold metal desk and a terminal linked to a closed network. Only 4 people had access. He queued, then another. The screen flickered, casting a pale glow on his face, revealing a mosaic of pieces, files, calculations, fragments of intelligence never connected before. This wasn't just data, it was a web. The global cybersecurity network, it turned out, was intertwined with other clans, other groups, other interests. A clandestine system, capable of rivaling official hierarchies. The realization struck him, this was dangerous territory. A horizontal structure emerging to challenge the traditional vertical command. A threat no one expected. Yet here it was, alive, real, and dominant. He didn't understand the full picture, but he knew one thing clearly: decisions had to be made. Now. He resolved to act, regardless of the internal investigations happening within the security apparatus. He saw no higher authority, no agency or official who could be trusted, no one who could be reached. This game was no simple matter of power, it was an intricate web of secrets, lies, and hidden threads. Almost simultaneously, he sensed it, the subtle shift in the air. The elite, the few who truly understood, were already feeling it. A faint breeze, 3 waves, like whispers of a threat no one else could perceive. 2 more waves approaching, an invisible force gathering strength, carried by an untraceable current of danger. The air was thick with anticipation, an unseen menace that everyone sensed but no one dared name. And as the mood intensified, a question hung in the silence: how long can the facade hold before everything collapses? Would they be too late to stop what was coming? The tension was unbearable, on the verge of eruption, just waiting for that final crack to shatter the illusion of control. Just as the tension reached its peak, ominous signs appeared that something much bigger was unfolding. Invisible forces were sensing the shift, the subtle tremors in the political landscape. Some powerful figures began exchanging urgent calls, their voices trembling with unease. Questions flooded the air, questions no one dared to answer. Meanwhile, others chose silence, as if the very silence was a form of warning. The elite, masters of perception, listened intently to the quiet. They could feel the tension building before it even showed itself, like a storm brewing on the horizon. Yet, the person in control refused to sound the alarm. He kept digging, focused on the task at hand. The device's purpose was lost. Only when the last link of the digital chain confirmed the connection, a link linking the shadowed figure with 3 magnets and 2 rubber structures, did he finally feel it. A slow pushback. An unexpected victory for the unseen network. He saw it clearly now, the network was fragmenting the country's fabric piece by piece. If he didn't act swiftly, that fragmentation would turn into steel, an unbreakable force. His hand moved to press the button, connecting to a hidden line that linked him with a critical figure, the same man he only revealed in moments of crisis. His directive was simple but deadly: gather at 9 o'clock tomorrow. The task ahead wouldn't be easy, only a select few could face it. He set his voice cold, commanding. Begin the operation. The new reality was taking shape, quiet but dangerous, flying under the radar. Yet the cracks in the facade were becoming impossible to hide. The carefully concealed mask was cracking, revealing vulnerability beneath the surface. The thin space between control and chaos was tearing apart. Sometimes, to understand someone's true nature, you must observe what they conceal, what they desperately try to hide from the world. The Belarusian knew this truth better than most. His experience with the deep mechanisms of the state told him that the strongest structures aren't built on the surface, they're hidden in the deserts, where information vanishes, is altered, or is kept silent. His environment was exactly such a place, a shadowed laboratory where one hidden secret layered upon another. Andrei Romanovich sat in a small, windowless room. The only light was the glow from the monitor, cold, blue, and unflinching. His gaze was fixed on the screen and silent, focused. What he saw was more than data, it was a life hidden beneath layers of deception, a mystery that could shake the very foundation of governance itself. What was the real purpose of this shadow network? Why was the country so close to collapse without anyone noticing? The answers lay buried deep within the labyrinth of lies, an intricate web that only the sharpest minds could unravel before it was too late. 5 minutes ago, chaos erupted in Russia. A shocking secret begins to unfold, threatening to shake the very foundation of power. Andrei Belazov, once known as a steady technocrat, steps into the shadows to confront an unimaginable truth. The man who kept calm under pressure is suddenly demanding answers about missing hundreds of millions, hidden behind layers of darkness, and faces no one dares to reveal. So, why is he breaking his silence now? What hidden scheme connects him to the powerful and elusive figures at the center of this storm? The answers lie in a mysterious folder he discovered, something dangerous, something that could turn his world upside down. Now, he's faced with an impossible choice: dig deeper into the darkness or hide from the fury that's about to be unleashed. In the silent hours of dawn, Belazov heads to his office. The city is still cloaked in fog and silence, a ghostly backdrop to his urgent mission. He's a man with sharp features, the kind of vision that cuts through any facade, yet today, his eyes betray a storm roiling beneath. Clutching a folder that arrived overnight, he senses this could be the key to everything. It's a fragile thing, thin, almost transparent, hiding depths no one has dared to explore. As he studies the folder, the air thickens. It's not just about numbers or official reports. It's about secrets buried deep within documents that conspicuously don't match reality. The movement of millions across shadow networks, names that vanish into thin air. Names like Peskov are linked to a web of corruption and deception. The realization hits him hard: this isn't just about money. It's about power, influence, control hidden from public view. A cold wave of clarity washes over him. The connections go deeper than he imagined. A clandestine system operates silently across borders, with structures opposing the official hierarchy, dangerous, unpredictable, unstoppable. The truth is more terrifying than he thought. It's not just corruption, it's a game of shadows, where identities are erased and facts rewritten. And now, he's inside the core, a place from which no one escapes unscathed. Suddenly, the room's silence shatters. An unanticipated voice cuts through. Everything in the cabinet is on edge. No way back now. Belazov's reflection in the mirror shows fatigue, his face hardened by secrets too heavy to carry. Yet, inside, he feels the tremor of imminent chaos. A signal, something approaching. A threat that cannot be ignored. His mind races as he moves through corridors filled with unusual guards. The air is tinged with the scent of cold metal and faint traces of dust, the kind of smell that lingers in places where secrets are kept. He reaches a small room, stripped of comforts, with only a solitary terminal connected to a closed network. Only 4 have access. His fingers tremble as he begins to piece together fragments, files, calculations, bits of hidden intelligence, images of a network far more complex and dangerous than he could have imagined. What he uncovers shocks him: an entire horizontal fabric of influence that runs parallel to the official hierarchy, and it's rippling out, linked to interests in many regions. It's a web of control that could rival the government itself. The thought is electrifying, it's a link to chaos, a potential collapse of everything he knows. Andrei Romanovich's resolve solidifies. He must act. The game has shifted past simple corruption. This is something much more sinister. He decides to ignore the usual channels, to trust his instincts. No contacts, no backups, just raw, unfiltered truth in front of him. Every move must be precise. Every risk, calculated. In a flash, he learns that the entire structure is trembling. The elite, those cloaked in power, feel the tremors too. Rumors swirl as questions are asked, questions no one dares to answer. Others fall silent, sensing the impending storm. Belozov understands, the cracks in the facade are too thin. They'll soon shatter. He watches fearfully as a chain of events unfolds on his screen, connections forming, secrets slipping away. A special operation is underway, secret, deadly, irreversible. Yesterday, a critical command from the Defense Ministry set all this in motion, linking Belozov to a high-stakes game of chess played in shadows. Now, the new reality is dawning, dangerous, unpredictable. Everything is flying toward chaos, yet few realize it's happening. The very structure they trusted is cracking, revealing a fragile core hiding beneath layers of deception. The man who holds this knowledge knows one thing: if he doesn't stop it now, the country will be shattered by unseen forces. In the final minutes, he presses a button, an encrypted connection to the unnamed figure he can only describe as a shadowy puppet master. The message is clear, it's time to act. The clock is ticking. The game is only just beginning. The fabric of society is unraveling, layer by layer, exposing truths darker than anyone imagined. Sometimes, to truly understand a person, you must see what they desperately try to hide. Andrei Belozov, haunted by secrets buried in the depths of state secrets, realizes the truth is not what it seems. It's a web, thick, dark, entangling every corner of power. In the shadows of the laboratory, amid echoes of the past, he finds a fragment of himself, a boy raised in diplomatic corridors, haunted by fragments of an identity that never fully belonged. The faint traces of his history suggest deep manipulations that stretch far beyond his understanding. As memories flicker, torn apart and stitched together, the real game begins. This is a story of secrets, deception, and the terrifying truth waiting to burst forth, a story that will leave you questioning everything. Just moments ago, in the heart of Russia, something extraordinary unfolded, something that could shake the very foundation of the nation's power. An unexpected revelation that could expose secrets buried deep within the corridors of authority. It all began with Andrei Belozov, a man once seen as a calm, methodical technocrat. Now, he's pushed to the edge of chaos, demanding answers from the most powerful figures in the country. In the quiet pre-dawn hours, Belozov stepped into his office as the city lay still, shrouded in darkness. The air was thick with anticipation, a silent tension hanging like a heavy curtain. He carried with him a dossier, a small, seemingly innocuous folder. But behind its unassuming facade lurked a dangerous truth. As he examined its contents, a cold wave of realization washed over him. Every detail pointed to a sinister web of corruption, hidden behind layers of deception. The name of a high-ranking official, associated with vast sums of money and shadowy dealings, suddenly emerged from the shadows: Peskov. How deep does this conspiracy go? Why was this document delivered without warning, and why now? Driven by an unstoppable force, Belozov made a decision, one that would forever alter his fate. Without hesitation, he approached Peskov's wall, an unguarded space where secrets and lies collide. The room was silent, just the whir of machinery around him. No guards, no witnesses, only the weight of what he was about to unveil. Inside, a hidden device emitted a faint hum, a silent bomb that could blow the entire system apart. Why had he come here? What was he trying to expose? The air grew tense, electric with anticipation. His fingers trembled as he finally opened the folder. Inside, the truth spilled forth like a flood: numbers that didn't add up, assets hidden from public records, transactions that danced through shadowy intermediaries. These weren't just petty corruptions, they were the levers of a clandestine empire. A name kept recurring: Peskov, linked to schemes so vast they threatened to topple the entire political structure. Yet, what struck Belozov most was not just the magnitude, but the silence surrounding it. It was a quiet conspiracy, invisible to most, yet deeply rooted in every corner of power. A sudden realization hit him: this was not merely corruption. It was influence. Control. An invisible hand steering the country's fate from behind the curtains. He recognized that the true danger wasn't just financial, it was systemic. Hidden networks, unseen but palpable, intertwined with the highest echelons of government. As he pondered this, his mind raced all the layers, the connections that twist like a labyrinth without exit. In this moment, he knew the stakes. Closing the folder gently, he moved swiftly, securing the evidence in a safe, yet feeling the ominous weight of the secrets he now held. The room's silence was deafening. Every second felt like a countdown to revelation or disaster. His reflection flickered in the mirror, tired, hardened, a man who had crossed a line from which there was no return. He felt the vibrations of unseen footsteps, the whispers of impending danger. Suddenly, the room was alive: police patrols, strange faces passing by. No longer in control, he retreated into a small analysis lab, an underground nerve center where hidden truths could be pieced together. With each click, each fragment of data, the picture grew clearer. There were layers upon layers: families, financial schemes, international interests, all connected through an elaborate, hidden structure. It was a network operating parallel to the official hierarchy, a shadow government pulling strings unseen. His eyes widened as he uncovered an intricate web, that this influence stretched beyond national borders, crossing continents and histories. He saw a pattern: influence spreading like ink in water, every fragment revealing a new layer, a new possibility. The deeper he looked, the more dangerous it became. This wasn't just about personalities or politics. It was a systemic infection, something gnawing at the very roots of power. Suddenly, a shadow of a thought crossed his mind: what if this was more than corruption? What if it was a master plan, carefully crafted, ready to destabilize everything? One wrong move, one misstep, and the entire system could collapse, like a house of cards. Alarm bells rang in his mind. The stakes had never been higher. In the aftermath of what he saw, Belozov made a decisive choice. He contacted a small, elite group, those who understood the truth. Their orders were clear: initiate a covert operation. They would confront the unseen enemy lurking within the highest levels of government before it was too late. The weight of history pressed down on him. This was not just a fight for truth, but for the survival of the state itself. He knew the cracks were forming. The fragile veneer of stability was already beginning to shatter. Inside the White House, the walls were cracking, revealing the secrets kept hidden for years. Every heartbeat, every breath brought him closer to chaos. The game was no longer about politics, it had become a battle for control, for influence that stretched like an endless maze, where every turn could lead to catastrophe. As Belozov prepared for what was to come, he reflected on a harsh truth: the strongest structures aren't built on official stories. They're built on deception, on shadows. His own past, filled with fragments of memories and lost identities, now converged into a single purpose: to expose this dark, tangled web. The path ahead was dangerous. Deadly, even. But one thing was clear: what he uncovered was no coincidence. It was a deliberate, calculated attack on the core of the nation's soul. Now, as the final pieces move into place, the question remains: will justice prevail, or will the darkness swallow everything? The game of shadows is unfolding, hidden behind a false facade, waiting for the moment to strike. Belozov's journey has only just begun. Just 5 minutes ago, something shocking happened in Russia. A figure shrouded in calm and control revealed a dark, hidden truth. Andrei Belozov, once known as a composed technocrat, suddenly took a daring step that could shake the foundations of the government. He stormed into the office of Dmitry Peskov, demanding answers about a mysterious disappearance of 700 million rubles. Why has this massive sum vanished without explanation? Who is hiding behind the shadows, dark faces, hidden schemes, and secret corridors? Belozov's bold move seemed to come out of nowhere: no security, no witnesses, only a chilling quiet. Was this a trap? A trap from which there was no escape. Why now? And what secrets could be lurking beneath the surface, concealed from even the most seasoned analysts? Watch closely, because what unfolds next will leave you stunned. Stay with me to the very end. You won't believe what comes to light. Early in the morning, as the city still slept under its gray haze, Belozov headed to his office. The streets echoed in silence, a stark contrast to the storm that was about to erupt. In his mind, he was a sharp predator, a man with piercing eyes and a precise, almost mathematical, gaze. But today, his eyes held a different intensity, a storm of uncertainty, warning him that something dangerous was awakening beneath the surface. In his hand, he carried a simple folder. Small, unassuming, yet inside, secrets far more vast than its size suggested. It had arrived overnight, carried by shadows and whispered warnings. No calls, no alerts, merely a silent message into the heart of his office. Through a window that only opened to those with access. He moved through the city's quiet, armored in a complex machine, a car designed for secrecy, until he reached a secure location. Inside, the folder was cold to the touch, its surface reflecting a faint, pale glow from the monitor. When he finally opened it, the shock hit him like a tidal wave. Instead of mundane numbers and schemes, he saw a revelation, a web of corrupt transactions, untraceable transfers of huge sums through shadow companies, muddled in layers of deception. It was a master plan of silent influence, one that linked powerful figures in ways he hadn't imagined. Among the names revealed was Peskov, a name he believed was trustworthy, yet now appeared intertwined with secrets that threatened everything. The document uncovered a hidden world, a system of influence rooted deep within the corridors of power, lurking behind official facades. It was a system built not on transparency but on shadows, on secrets cloaked in silence. Like a nervous system, it operated under the radar, invisible and deadly. Belozov's mind raced. Why now? What had changed? He closed the folder slowly, as if to contain the storm inside. His heart pounded. This wasn't just about corruption anymore. It was about a larger scheme, a carefully crafted game played with lives, influence, and endless layers of deception. In a sudden burst of clarity, he moved swiftly to secure the evidence. No turning back, his world was now permanently altered. As he gazed into the mirror, he saw fatigue etched into his face, yet determination hardened his expression. There was no room for hesitation. Every second counted. Then, the room's silence was broken, unexpected voices, footsteps, alert signals. Something was coming, fast. A presence he couldn't see but felt deep in his bones. An invisible pressure that told him, the game was changing. Dangerous, unseen forces were waking up. He knew, at this moment, that the city's quiet facade was fragile. Cracks appeared, almost invisible, but threatening to explode. It was no longer just a matter of corruption, it was a full-blown conflict. The kind where shadows fight secrets, and secrets threaten to reveal everything in an unpredictable war. He reached for his communication device. His voice was steady, calm, but inside, he was a storm. A secret operation was about to begin. The narrow circle of trusted allies gathered. Quietly, with deliberate precision, they prepared to strike. But amid this calm, a realization struck him: the facade, the carefully built layers of power, were cracking. The thin veneer was breaking apart. The deception that had lasted for years was about to be exposed. In moments like these, to truly understand a person, you must observe not just actions but the secrets they hide. Belozov had seen enough now to know that shadows, the unseen, the silent, are the real rulers. Old biographical stories, the official tales, all false. Behind the mask lay a chaos of lies and buried truths, waiting to surface. Now, a new revelation emerges from the depths, a figure from the past, cloaked in mystery, appearing in Moscow with astonishing grandeur. A symbol of power and danger. A sign that the game has just entered a new, deadly phase. What is truly hiding behind this carefully crafted image? Who is pulling the strings? And how much longer can the quiet stability hold before everything unravels? One thing is clear, the invisible war is in full swing, and Andrei Belozov is now in the eye of the storm. The secrets of the unseen are about to explode into daylight. And once they do, nothing will remain unchanged. 5 minutes ago, something shocking happened in Russia. Andrei Belozov, known for his calm and methodical nature, suddenly shattered his usual composure. He demanded answers from Dmitry Peskov himself, questions about the missing 700 million rubles and the silent years of silence from those in power. His confrontation was raw, unfiltered. Why now? Why expose the darkness hidden behind powerful faces? Listen closely. This story is about secrets buried deep beneath the surface of authority. It's about a moment that could shake the entire foundation of the system. Stay until the end, you won't believe what unfolds. He approached the wall of Peskov's office, no security, no witnesses, only a silent, ominous presence. A single bomb, an irreversible truth, waiting to explode. The question loomed, why did he choose to do this now? What was hidden in the shadows, and how did Peskov's name end up at the very center of it all? Imagine that moment. A man, normally composed, now standing on the edge of chaos. A risky move, but necessary. He had uncovered something too dangerous to ignore, a web of corruption and secrets that linked the highest echelons of power. Without hesitation, he moved swiftly. The hallway was eerily silent, the air thick with anticipation. Every step was a gamble. Inside his mind, a storm. Why now? What secrets were buried in the scheme? He knew that everyone was connected, and the truth was more terrifying than he had imagined. He finally reached the office, guided by instinct. The door creaked open, revealing a room that felt frozen in time. Silent but deafening. His hand trembled slightly as he pulled out a folder, thin but heavy with secrets. It arrived overnight, unseen by anyone, shrouded in secrecy, with no calls, no warnings, only a mysterious message from the Federal Security Service. As he opened it, a wave of cold realization washed over him. The first pages revealed numbers, schemes, all seemingly disconnected. But his eyes paused on one name, Peskov. That familiar, powerful name, suddenly cast in a new, alarming light. The document wasn't just numbers, it was a blueprint of influence, concealment, and corruption. What he saw next was astonishing. The data pointed to a hidden network, not just within official channels, but sprawling across clandestine offshore accounts, shadowy interests, and covert operations. The connection between these secret streams was woven into a complex web, more organized and dangerous than he had feared. He closed the folder carefully, thoughts racing. The stakes had just risen. This was no longer about corruption, it was a conspiracy that threatened to destabilize everything. Something was going far too deep, and he knew he had to act before it was too late. He moved to secure the evidence, locking it away in a safe designed for the most sensitive secrets. But the sense of danger lingered. Shadows lengthened, and distant footsteps echoed like whispers in the corridor. The game was no longer local, it was global, unseen, and relentless. Tense moments passed. He faced himself in a mirror, tired, worn, but unyielding. The reflection was a man on the brink of a revelation that could change the course of history. Every fiber of his being told him, this is just the beginning. The true story lies ahead, lurking beneath the surface, waiting to surface. As he prepared to leave, the atmosphere in the building shifted. Unseen forces moved. The network was trembling, sensing the storm coming. Invisible waves of tension pulsed through the corridors, warning that the game was about to escalate. Suddenly, a message arrived, a secret operation was underway. The high-stakes chess match had begun. The world was about to change, and Belozov knew that his next steps could either topple empires or destroy him entirely. And behind all this chaos, the biggest question remains, what is the true purpose of the Shadow Network, and who really controls it? The story is far from over. What will he discover next? The depths of this conspiracy go beyond anyone's imagination. Stay tuned. The truth is lurking, waiting to explode. 5 minutes ago, an extraordinary event unfolded in Russia, a story that could change everything. Andrei Belozov, once seen as a composed and calculating technocrat, suddenly shattered that reputation. Early morning found him in his sparse office, the city still silent outside. His sharp eyes, usually filled with calm certainty, were now dark with something darker, a storm brewing beneath his surface. In his hands, he clutched a folder, a small, unassuming thing, yet within it lay secrets of unimaginable gravity. Without any fanfare, without anyone to witness, he approached the wall that bore the insignia of Dmitry Peskov. Why now? What fueled this sudden outburst? What hidden truths did the quiet veneer of power conceal? What he uncovered was not merely a scandal. It was a web of corruption, woven through shadows and obscured by layers of deception. The contents of that folder revealed financial transactions so intricate, so secretive, that they connected the highest echelons of influence to underground networks controlling billions. The name Peskov appeared at the very center, the key player in a scheme so vast, it could threaten the stability of powerful institutions. As Belazov looked over the documents, his heartbeat quickened. Was this the moment that would shake the country's core? Or would he become just another victim swallowed by the very system he challenged? Every fragment of data seemed to scream of a conspiracy that stretched beyond the ordinary, into territories that only a few dared to explore. He felt the danger closing in. The air around him grew thick, heavy with unseen threats. His mind raced. Why now? What had he missed? His fingers trembled slightly as he secured the folder in his safe, the weight of silence pressing down. The room, once quiet, now felt alive with whispers of betrayal, of secrets waiting to be exposed. And then, the calls began. Unexpected voices, urgent questions. Hidden enemies sensing a crack in the facade. Belazov knew he had stumbled onto something far bigger than he imagined. But what was his next move? Could he trust anyone? The shadows behind the scenes were darker than he had ever suspected, ready to swallow him whole. In that moment, he realized this was no ordinary revelation. It was an act of rebellion against a system built on lies. Yet, if he pressed further, he risked unleashing chaos he might never control. The game was no longer about mere corruption. It was about the survival of truth itself. And as he prepared for what lay ahead, a chilling question haunted him: how deep does the web of deception go, and who will be left standing when it finally unravels? This is a story about secrets buried in darkness, secrets that could topple empires. Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear will shock you to the core. Just as the previous fragment revealed a vast web of offshore assets, hidden behind a complex mathematical pattern, new layers of internal manipulation emerge. The question now is, who really controls this intricate network, and how deeply are they embedded in the heart of power? There are signs of deliberate internal operations, traceable in the tiniest details. Some of these actions originate right in Russia, executed by a select, elite group of specialists. And once again, the name Sand appears, not as a mere participant, but as a key player intertwined in the fabric of this elaborate scheme. Could it be just coincidence? Or is there something more sinister behind these repeated links? A file is opened, revealing a growing picture. The White House suddenly feels like the facade of a colossal, secret structure. Everywhere, media outlets, energy sectors, transportation, are interconnected through this unseen mechanism. It exerts pressure, influences decisions, shapes alliances. The most fragile point? An almost invisible thread, like a breeze too subtle to be noticed, yet essential for the entire framework to stand firm. Moving to the final set of data, the screen flashes with vivid lines connecting offshore accounts, corporate entities, and key figures. The scheme is complex, more tangled than any blueprint. But what catches the eye instantly? A single line, crossing 4 jurisdictions, and then 6. And, remarkably, repeated twice, with the same names resurfacing, Sand again and again. Andrei Romanovich studies this diagram for what feels like an eternity. The image throbs with pulses of numbers, transitions, connections, influences alive with energy. The deeper he delves, the more it becomes clear, this isn't just about hidden wealth. This is about a structure capable of making decisions, wielding power over the state itself. A silent force, lurking in the shadows, ready to act. What's truly shocking? Sand isn't just a pawn. It's part of a network far older, faster, and more dangerous than anyone understands. It predates current figures, moving with a stealth that surpasses the imagination of even the most seasoned observers. A realization hits him: the entire system is a living organism, an intricate web of influence, capable of striking long before anyone notices. And if it isn't stopped now, total control is inevitable. The question persists: who's really pulling the strings? And how much longer can this hidden machine operate before exposing itself? 5 minutes ago, something extraordinary unfolded across Russia. A calm technocrat named Andrei Belazov, known for his measured demeanor, suddenly erupted into a fierce confrontation. He demanded answers from Dmitry Peskov, questioning why 700 million rubles had vanished into the shadows, through dark corridors and faces shrouded in mystery. Without bodyguards or witnesses, he confronted the wall of secrecy alone, holding a seemingly harmless folder that concealed devastating secrets. And now, why did he choose this exact moment to act? What powerful scheme was hidden from view, and why did Peskov's name sit at the very heart of it all? Stay tuned, because what follows will shake the foundations of everything you thought you knew. Keep listening, and you'll be stunned. Andrei Belazov always moved swiftly, like someone trying to outrun time itself. But that morning, as he entered his quiet office at dawn, before the city's first light touched the streets, something felt different. The usual sharp intensity in his eyes was replaced by a strange calm, as if he was immersed in the middle of a river. He clutched a fragile folder, so thin it seemed unable to carry the weight of what was inside, a weight that could topple empires. That folder was delivered last night, without warnings, sneakily slipped past security, housed in a sealed file from the covert corridors of the Federal Security Service. He headed to his office, the city still hushed, the air thick with anticipation. As he finally opened the folder, his eyes widened, not with confusion, but with recognition. Inside were no ordinary schemes. No simple numbers, only truths hidden deep beneath layers of deception. What shocked him most was the name Peskov written quietly amidst the web of corruption and treachery. Could this be a sign, or a trap? As he stared into the abyss of secrets, the true game revealed itself, more dangerous, more elaborate, something that could shatter the very structure of power itself. The moment he laid eyes on the contents, a jarring sensation gripped him. This was no typical scandal, it was a discovery of a hidden network, one more ancient and vast than he had imagined. The documents betrayed not just corruption but a deeply intertwined web of influence, an underground army operating behind the scenes, manipulating events with precision and secrecy. The so-called system was built on foundations of lies, with layers upon layers of unseen control. This structure wasn't just about individual figures, it was a living, breathing entity, almost like a nervous system, responding and adapting before he even understood its scope. His pulse quickened, the room's silence became deafening. He realized that these revelations weren't just political, they were personal, threatening everything he believed. Slowly, he placed the folder back into the safe, feeling a cold weight settle over him. There was no turning back now. The walls he thought protected him were dissolving. What was truly hidden behind the facade? He stood before a mirror, gazing at his own tired reflection. The face staring back was calm but hardened, his eyes betraying the storm brewing inside. Every sense heightened, the faint hum of the city outside. The scent of cold concrete, the texture of the folder's cover pressing against his fingertips. He hesitated before making a call, knowing that any action could set off a chain reaction no one could predict. The room suddenly felt claustrophobic, the air thick with tension. As he stepped into the corridor, he sensed something unusual, the faint murmur of hurried footsteps, the slight shift of shadows, like the city itself was whispering secrets. Passing by police officers and security, he knew he was beyond the point of no return. Somewhere nearby, a complex network of interests was awakening, ready to strike. With every step, he felt the subtle tremor of a hidden upheaval, a silent storm gathering strength beneath the surface of what appears normal. Now, alone in a sealed room filled only with the hum of technology, Andrei began unpicking the mosaic of data. It was no simple puzzle, connected files, encrypted messages, fragments of analytics, and each piece revealed a deeper layer. This wasn't just about corruption, it was a vast horizontal structure challenging the official hierarchy, a parallel system thriving beneath the radar. The thought was chilling. As he deciphered the connections, he realized that this network could rival, perhaps even replace, the public power structure itself. A dangerous idea, but a real one. The truth was slipping through his fingers, he could feel it. Suddenly, an unanticipated movement caught his eye, an anomaly in the digital landscape. The network responded, shifting like a living organism. Cold, calculated, yet unpredictable. His instinct told him the threat was immediate. Influential figures were beginning to realize they were exposed. Calls flooded in, questions with no answers. Silent, watchful eyes observed from the shadows, sensing the same impending upheaval. Somewhere, a top-layer mask was cracking, thin, fragile. But in that crack lay the possibility of everything collapsing. The question was, would he stop it or let the system fall? Time was running out, and the stakes had never been higher. As the digital puzzle assembled itself, lights flickered and the city's heartbeat grew louder. A quiet, deadly game was unfolding, one where power, influence, and secrets collided. All signs pointed to a final move, an operation that could redefine the course of the country. When he pressed the button linking him to the mastermind he'd only heard about in whispers, he knew that the moment of truth had arrived. The line between order and chaos was razor thin. The only certainty was that the game was about to change forever. And the question lingered, what happens when the entire fabric of the nation begins to unravel at the edges? In the quiet hours of the morning, a subtle change rippled through the usual calm. It was an unease he couldn't quite put into words, something just beneath his consciousness. The space around him didn't feel hostile or dangerous, but it was different, almost fragile. Like walking down a familiar corridor, yet sensing that the shadows lingered just a second too long. Was it his imagination, or was something slipping through the cracks of his carefully constructed world? Andrei Belazov was a man known for his composed demeanor, calm, methodical, almost indifferent to the chaos around him. But tonight, that calm was disturbed. The familiar signals that usually guided him, an assistant's response, a media outlet's quick update, failed to arrive. The sound of routine even seemed muted, as if the world itself was holding its breath. His experience told him to stay relaxed, to remain unaffected, but the flicker of unease grew stronger. Shadows lengthened in his mind, and a faint suspicion began to form. He sat alone in his office, the sterile glow of the desk lamp casting cold shadows across the polished wooden surfaces. The air was thick with a scent of aged paper, mingling with the faint aroma of coffee. On the table lay an open laptop, its screen reflecting in the glass surface, like a window into his hidden world. A message flashed on the device, an alert from the secret channels he trusted. Someone was interested. Why now? What was so urgent? His fingertips hesitated over the keyboard, feeling the weight of 1,000 unspoken questions. Silence. An unnatural hush settled over the room. A gust of cold air brushed against his neck as he tried other channels, ones he rarely used, ones he thought were secure. Each attempt met with dead ends or disturbing gaps in communication. The stress lines on his forehead deepened, an almost imperceptible crease, but enough to betray his inner disturbance. He was used to smooth operations, to mechanisms that ran seamlessly behind the scenes. But tonight, the system faltered. Malfunctions. Shadows moving where they shouldn't, secrets slipping through the cracks. He stood and looked out the window. The city below hummed as usual, dim streetlights, passing cars, distant windows flickering with life. But beneath that familiar surface, something else lurked. The hidden infrastructure, those secret networks of influence, felt different. More alive. More dangerous. An unfamiliar presence pressed against his consciousness. He took a step back, reached for his phone, but hesitated. Something was coming. Something he couldn't yet see, but which he sensed with a chill that ran down his spine. The game had changed, and he was caught in the shadows of an unseen war, one that threatened to shatter everything he thought he knew. Certainly. Here is the translated, reimagined, and engaging story in English, formatted for a storytelling video, incorporating vivid imagery, conflicts, and twists. 5 minutes ago, in the depths of Russia's hidden corridors, something unprecedented happened. Andrei Belazov, once known as an unwavering technocrat, now stood at the edge of chaos. Early dawn washed the city in cold gray light, and he moved through empty streets like a shadowsmith, destined for a confrontation no one saw coming. Today, Belozov's calm facade shattered. He tore off the mask of Dmitry Peskov, demanding answers to questions long buried. Where did the missing 700 million rubles go? Through obscured shadows and faces concealed in darkness, why is there silence from the highest ranks? He approached the wall, no security, no witnesses, only a ticking time bomb of truth. Why now? What secrets are buried so deep that they threaten to topple everything? Why was Peskov's name so central to this tangled web? Stay with me till the end. The truth will blow your mind. Remember the image of him rushing through space itself, a man trying to outrun unseen forces, his every step weighted with anxiety. Andrei Ramovich Belozov reaches his office before the city awakens, an empty world, eerily silent, almost suffocating. His features, once sharp as a blade, are now shadowed with a strange stillness, eyes that used to pierce the universe now seem lost in a fleeting river of uncertainty. Clutched in his hand, a folder thin but dangerous, delivered unnoticed amid the chaos of night. Its edges are frayed, like a fragile membrane hiding catastrophe inside. Inside, dark secrets, documents so clandestine, they are barred from the eyes of even the most advanced agencies. He arrives at the security gate, empty and unguarded, yet, beneath its apparent normalcy, his fingers tremble as he opens the folder. No numbers jump out, no schemes, only a haunting realization: the story behind these pages is built on lies. Assets that are not assets. Movements of money through shadowy companies, their true owners concealed in a labyrinth of anonymity. He reads the lines twice, not for comprehension, but to grasp the enormity. His eyes lock onto a single name: Peskov. Known for serving the highest figures, now entangled in a web of corruption hidden from the public eye. This isn't just about money or influence. It's about something darker, something rooted in unseen places where journalists and analysts dare not tread. It's as if the very fabric of power is a living, breathing organism, operating beneath the surface, immune to external scrutiny. His face stays calm, but inside, his mind races like a storm. What is this revelation hinting at? Who has the power to manipulate reality itself? He shoves the dossier into a safe, like a secret weapon ready to explode. Yet, a sudden noise shatters the silence: an anomaly. Someone is inside his room. Unexpected, threatening. He examines his reflection in the mirror, tired, guarded, yet resolute. His face is a mask concealing a storm of calculations. No calls yet, no alarms, yet he senses that the network is aware. He moves swiftly to a small, windowless analysis room, stripped of comfort. A chamber where secrets are woven into codes. A digital terminal flickers before him, a portal to the unseen. He begins assembling fragments, files, analytics, hidden connections. The pieces form a pattern, an underground hierarchy operating parallel to the official system. A shadow network capable of rivaling the government's very backbone. A dangerous thought crosses his mind: how deep does this web go? Who truly controls the machinery of power? Suddenly, the network trembles. An almost imperceptible warning, like a ripple in calm waters. Influential figures, elite, politicians, secret agencies, start to sense the disturbance. Calls are made, questions asked, but answers are silent. Some leaders respond with silence. Others with fear. The atmosphere thickens, an invisible pressure mounting. Belozov's heart beats faster. He recognizes that his internal systems are no longer under control, an unprecedented event. The system itself breathes anew, alive with a strange vitality. A new threat has emerged from the shadows, something that cannot be stopped. Meanwhile, in the Ministry of Defense, Belozov completes his preparations. Silent and precise, he systematically disables the influence channels. Every link, every node, carefully severed. The room grows darker, only shadows and the faint hum of machinery remain. He finalizes his operation, knowing that this act could shift everything. One false move, and chaos could reign. Every step is calculated, controlled. The silence, the darkness, the tension, they all echo the calm before the storm. What he's about to unleash could shake the very foundation of power. And as he presses the button, he questions: who really pulls the strings? And what happens when the illusion of control finally collapses? In the depths of this labyrinth, where shadows conceal the truth, one man dares to look behind the curtain. What emerges will redefine the nature of power, if only you dare to see. Now, ask yourself, what secrets are hiding in the dark? And who will be left standing when the dust settles? The story has only just begun. 5 minutes ago, chaos erupted in Russia, shocking the country to its core. A calm, respected figure known for his technical expertise suddenly turned into a fierce interrogator. Andrei Belozov, usually the epitome of restraint, stormed into the office demanding answers from Dmitry Peskov himself. His question? Where did the 700 million rubles vanish? How did a shadowy background filled with strange faces conceal billions? He confronted the marble wall where Peskov's image seemed to shimmer with secrets. No guards, no witnesses, just a wall and an impassable truth. Why now? What was hidden behind the scheme, and why was Peskov's name at the very heart? The stakes had never been higher, and the world was about to discover a story filled with betrayal, shadows, and a terrible conspiracy. Stay with me to the end. What lies ahead will blow your mind. Andrei Belozov, once known for his rapid, precise movements, stood in his dimly lit office as dawn broke over the silent city. The streets were still asleep, the air thick with an anticipation that he couldn't yet name. His sharp gaze, usually as unflinching as an equation, now flickered with something more complex, an uneasy ripple beneath the surface. He clutched a folder, thin yet dangerous, like a shard of glass hiding its true edge. It arrived unannounced, at night, an enigma sealed within the dark corridors of the security service. He moved carefully, trying to decipher the city's quiet hum as he approached his safe. Was it paranoia, or something darker? He finally opened the folder. The first thing that struck him wasn't numbers or figures but a wave of emotion, a feeling of dread, as if the very fabric of his trust was being shredded. The documents didn't just contain discrepancies, they revealed a hidden weave of influence and deception. The startling revelation? Peskov's name, the man he thought he knew, was embedded deep within a labyrinth of corruption. His pulse quickened. The memory of silent halls, unseen eyes, and whispered secrets all rushed back. The document offered no definitive proof, but it pointed clearly to a dark truth buried beneath layers of lies. He understood something was moving, something dangerous. His once calm world was crumbling. With silent resolve, he turned away from the file, retreating into the shadows. Security cameras betrayed no threat, yet, inside, he knew a storm was brewing. In the quiet aftermath, Belozov finally sealed the folder in his safe. A cold silence filled his room, amplifying the pounding of his own thoughts. An internal storm roared louder than any external chaos. Did someone suspect? Was he already being watched? Every noise, every shadow, seemed loaded with a hidden message. His face in the mirror, tired but determined, reflected a man who understood he had crossed a line from which there was no return. He grabbed his phone, hesitating. The network hummed with silent alarms, danger lurked around every corner. Any action, any secret movement, could trigger a deadly response. He moved into the corridor, where police officers passed by without a glance, their steps echoing in the stillness. The labyrinth of influence was closing in. He entered an analytical chamber, a windowless room filled with screens and digital mosaics. There, fragmented data, hidden files, and cryptic analytics stacked up like a digital puzzle, clues that revealed the true nature of the invisible war underway. The network, it turned out, wasn't just organized, it was layered, interconnected, and global. Hidden groups with opposing interests were competing within the same system, threatening to topple the entire structure. The realization was terrifying. This wasn't just corruption, this was a conspiracy of unseen forces. He understood, to stop it, he could no longer rely on the usual channels. This battle had no rules, no laws, only raw power and chaos. As the network's signals flickered, a cold whisper reached his ears. The elite, those who seemed untouchable, began sensing an approaching threat, sensing that their fortress was cracking. Tension escalated. Phones lit up with calls, silence fell over the corridors. Some leaders whispered ominous warnings, others stayed quiet, feeling the weight of an unseen threat. The air grew dense, thick with anticipation, almost tangible. Belozov knew the moment of reckoning was near. The network's dark edges were revealing their true form, exposing the fragile foundations of a system built on deceit. He activated the final command, sealing his move an irreversible step into a game with no escape. The new order was quietly awakening. The facade was cracking. Everything was shifting beneath the surface, fast, unstoppable, deadly. No one could predict the fallout. The most dangerous part? This entire explosion was being orchestrated by those who believed themselves invincible. In that moment, Belozov realized that the true enemy was hidden within the system's skeleton, an unseen infection spreading silently. The game had just begun. The very structure of power was at stake, and the question lingering in the air: how far would they go to protect their secrets? The scene set for an impossible battle, a fight for truth buried beneath layers of lies and fear. Now, as he sat in his dimly lit office, the distant hum of the city outside seemed to carry a warning. The shadows in his room danced with secrets yet unrevealed. The past, with its fractured memories, places in diplomatic archives, hidden schools, faded faces, began to swirl into a dark mosaic. His history was built on whispers and forgotten stories, stories others wanted buried. Every fragment of truth pointed to a single question: who truly controls the unseen threads pulling the strings? The files he studied painted a disturbing picture, an elaborate web tangled across countries, elusive and dangerous. The internal biographies, the hidden traces, each told a story of someone who had vanished just before they could be uncovered. Was the truth in the shadows? Was the real threat lurking where no one was looking? His mind spun with possibilities, instincts telling him that beneath the surface, something far worse was waiting. The silent, cold steps of those in power echoed in the corridors of his thoughts. Their secrets, their lies, now pushed him to the brink. He knew this wasn't just a conspiracy. It was an infection, hidden, spreading. Unstoppable unless someone dared to look deeper. With trembling hands, he examined the digital mosaic, each piece a clue. The revelation? The puppet masters were no longer hiding. They were right in front, pulling invisible strings. Suddenly, a new figure appeared, an outsider with a dangerous knowledge. His sight darkened, his adrenaline surged. What unleashed this chaos? Who was behind the sudden surge of influence? The game was no longer about control. It was about survival, a battle to expose the truth before it was too late. The shadows had moved closer. The sewer rat hideouts had been abandoned. The enemy was now inside the system itself. The stakes couldn't be higher. Every move, every choice, now carried the weight of history. He felt the puzzle coming together, dangerous, fragile, deadly. One false step, and everything could collapse. This was no longer about secrets. It was about survival, truth, and the ultimate revelation. The Shadow War was real, and it had just begun. 5 minutes ago, something shocking unfolded in Russia, something that could change everything. Andrei Belozov, once known as a calm, composed technical expert, suddenly shattered the silence. In the dead of morning, he tore off the mask of Dmitry Peskov, demanding answers about years of silence from top officials. Where did the missing 700 million rubles go? Through shadowy connections and strange faces, the truth seemed to hide behind a dark curtain. Belozov stood face to face with the wall where secrets are buried deep. No security guards, no witnesses, only one thing: a bomb he couldn't turn away from. Why now? What buried scheme is hidden inside this crisis? Why is Peskov's name at its center? Stay tuned, what happens next will leave you stunned. Subscribe, because you won't believe what's coming. He always moved fast, blurring through space, pushing time itself. This morning, he entered his office before dawn, the city still asleep. Usually, he displayed his sharp features and a cold, mathematical gaze, but today, his eyes were different, troubled, almost haunted. Like a surgeon staring at a shadow occupant on a scan he barely had time to explain. Clutching a folder, thin but heavy with secrets, he felt its weight, the tiny object that contained the chaos of a nation. This folder arrived overnight, with no warnings, no calls, just the silent threat of documents sealed tight by the closed doors of the security services. He acted without hesitation. Stepping into his car, he gazed out the window at the silent city streets below. The early light barely touched the pavement, casting long shadows. Secure, yet feeling the weight of impending doom with quiet urgency, he opened the folder. His eyes widened, not with confusion, but understanding. The pages didn't show mere numbers or schemes, they revealed something more sinister: discrepancies, hidden assets, and secret financial maneuvers involving influential figures, all cloaked behind legal masks. His gaze lingered on a name, the name that supported him. Peskov. The realization hit like a cold wave. Hidden truths, buried deep in the dark corners of power, connected to a network people never see, the true structure that controls reality itself. It was not just corruption, it was a web of influence, unseen yet powerful enough to shake the pillars of the state. He closed the folder slowly. A wave of uncertainty washed over him. Seconds felt like hours. He moved swiftly, placing the document into a safe, locking away the evidence that could bring down the whole system. As he looked at himself in the mirror, he saw fatigue, weariness of someone who finally understood the depths of deceit. His face was tired but resolute. A heavy silence filled the room. The faint hum of the city outside felt like a distant echo of the chaos that's silently brewing. Suddenly, an unexpected noise, the sharp steps of officers passing by. The moment of calm was fragile. He knew his time was limited. Moving to a small, windowless room, he booted up a secure terminal and access point to the hidden webs of influence. Fragments of data flooded his screen: names, locations, operations. The mosaic formed a haunting picture, different factions intertwined, competing with official channels, hiding behind the veneer of ordinary life. An underground architecture of power that threatened to topple everything. He saw how deeply embedded the network was, spanning from foreign interests to domestic elites operating horizontally beneath the official hierarchy. A dangerous, unstoppable force. Without warning, the air grew tense. Unseen hands began shifting in the shadows. The elites started whispering among themselves, uncertain, anxious. Some silenced, others probing. An atmosphere thick with suspicion. The master's calm facade remained, but his mind was racing, every move, every risk calculated. His eyes flashed with a cold intensity. He knew someone crossed critical thresholds. Someone tinkered with the foundation, dangerous enough to start pushing the country toward chaos. He shut the folder, knowing that no one else yet grasped the storm they faced. But the game had begun. Unseen enemies in the dark, threatening to tear the fabric of the nation apart. He turned, eyes scanning the silent corridors. The city outside was still. The traffic moved sluggishly, cars creeping like shadows among the steel giants of the ministry. The air inside was different, thick with secrets, thick with danger. Inside the ministry, like a living organism, movements were measured, calculated. Soldiers of quiet authority moved like shadows. They prepared, checking recordings, adjusting equipment, waiting for the inevitable. Because somewhere out there, something had shifted. An unseen hand had initiated a chain reaction that could blow the entire system apart. Andrei Romanovich knew one thing for sure: the quiet before the storm was over. The real chaos was just beginning. What will happen when the truth finally surfaces? Will they be able to stop what's coming? Or has the end already begun? Just 5 minutes ago, in Russia, something shocking unfolded. A quiet storm of secrets, lies, and hidden power emerged from the shadows. Andrei Belazov, once thought to be a calm, calculating technocrat, suddenly shattered his image, storming into the office of a high-ranking official with relentless fury. His demand: explain the disappearance of 700 million rubles that vanished into the dark crevices of state secrets. Why now? Why him? What was concealed behind the facade of silence? This confrontation could shake the very foundations of the nation's power structure. Andrei Ramovich Belazov entered his office early in the morning, as the city still lay silent, wrapped in a fog of anticipation. The streets were empty, save for the distant hum of awakening machinery. His sharp features, usually set in calm professionalism, now reflected a storm brewing beneath. In his hand, a folder thin but dangerous, clutched tightly, holding secrets that could topple empires. He received it overnight, an anonymous delivery, no warnings, no calls, just a mysterious, untraceable message sealed within shadows. Inside that folder lay damning evidence, links between top officials and illicit funds, encrypted transfers through shadow companies, and, most shocking of all, a name Peskov embedded deep within the web of corruption. The folder was no ordinary document. Its surface hid a labyrinth of truths, numbers that didn't add up, assets that never appeared in public records, and movements of money that defied official oversight. As Belozov sipped the cold, metallic taste of his coffee, he examined the pages, feeling the faint tremor in his hands. The first revelation hit him like a thunderclap. The name of Peskov, a figure known for impenetrable secrecy, was at the core of this tangled scheme. It wasn't just corruption, it was a carefully constructed network of influence, hidden, intricate, and deadly. What was Peskov hiding? Why was his name buried so deep? The more he looked, the clearer it became. You're not just observing a scandal, but peering into the breathing heart of a covert empire. His mind raced as he closed the folder slowly, sensing the invisible strings tightening around the country's power. The walls around him seemed to press inward with whispers of danger. The silent hum of the city outside contrasted sharply with the storm inside. A sudden, unexpected noise shattered the room's stillness. A loud, sharp clang from the hallway. The security detail was already on alert. There was no turning back now. The game had begun. In the mirror, Belozov stared into his reflection, tired but fierce, knowing this was no longer about money, influence, or politics. It was about exposing the deepest layers of a broken system before it was too late. He moved swiftly to the safe, his fingers trembling slightly from the pressure. The room was eerily quiet, broken only by the faint click of the lock as he secured the folder. Every second felt like a countdown, a fragile balance between revelation and destruction. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from outside, an officer calling, warning of an approaching threat. Instinct took over. The network was alert, sensing the disturbance. Belozov's heartbeat quickened. He knew he had only moments before the web of deception tightened around him. One wrong move, and it could all collapse: his career, his life, the fragile secret he now held in his hands. Soon, he found himself in a high-security analytical chamber, devoid of windows or cameras, only a terminal connecting to an encrypted network. The walls, lined with digital remnants of hidden transactions, displayed a sprawling web of influence. As he sifted through the data, a picture emerged: an underground giant, structured horizontally to rival the official vertical power hierarchy. It was a dangerous revelation, an unseen force controlling the country's puppet strings. He realized he was staring at a secret that could ignite chaos if exposed. Who dared to build such an empire? How deep did the rabbit hole go? This was not corruption, this was a covert system more formidable than anyone had imagined. As he pieced the puzzle together, a cold wind seemed to sweep through the chamber. Messages buzzed on his device, elite voices exchanging questions and threats. Some called for calm, others fell silent, petrified by the growing storm. A heavy sense of impending explosion filled the air. Somebody knew he was digging too deep. He felt the subtle shift, an almost imperceptible crack forming within the system. The facade of stability began to crumble. Belozov watched the live feed, pieces of the grand plan rapidly falling apart. If he hesitated now, the entire nation could be plunged into chaos. The decision was clear: he had to act, or be consumed by the darkness he uncovered. His next step was delicate but decisive. He initiated a secret operation, linking himself directly to the target. A message flashed on the screen: an imminent threat, an alert that their careful house of cards was collapsing. The elite, cloaked in influence, sensed the danger. Their masks slipped, revealing panic, their power built on lies beginning to tremble. Belozov knew this was the critical moment. The system was cracking from within. The moment of truth had arrived. Would he reveal everything and risk national chaos? Or back down and forever hide the truth? The tension was unbearable. The silent war had begun, and the world wouldn't know what hit it. Look into his eyes, and you see a man on the edge, standing at the fracture of a colossal lie. To understand him, you must understand what he's willing to risk. Every secret uncovered, every mumbled whisper, every hidden connection, all converged into a deadly game. Shadows danced behind the scenes. The more he learns, the darker the truth becomes. In a world where power is concealed behind layers of deception, the real enemy is hiding beneath the surface, the unseen force that controls everything. Andrei Belazov's story is far from over. It's only just beginning. Just moments ago, a quiet city in Russia buzzed with an unsettling tension. A figure emerged from the shadows, tall, imposing, with a loaded gaze that hid unknown secrets. He approached the hidden entrance, where the security personnel hesitated, sensing danger. Something was about to break. Behind this facade, powerful forces moved silently, plotting in the darkness. What was waiting inside that guarded space? The world was about to change forever. He approached the vehicle, a sleek, armored car humming softly. The air was thick with anticipation, metal creaked, blinds were drawn, and every step echoed in the silence. The man's eyes flicked to the looming gates. Suddenly, a flicker of something more sinister and uncertain purpose. As he stepped inside, a faint metallic smell filled his nostrils, cold and sharp. The security guard seemed distracted, almost nervous. What secret did this place hide? A hush settled over the scene, and an unspoken warning rippled through the tense air. Inside this underground fortress, the true game was about to unfold. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. The room was lined with thick, dark walls scarred by years of secrecy. The illumination was dim, only the glow of screens casting eerie shadows. The room was filled with the sounds of distant machines humming, a faint electric buzz echoed like a heartbeat. In the center, a table laden with confidential documents, hidden truths that could topple nations. The man's hand trembled as he reached for them. Flipping through pages, his eyes widened. Hidden beneath layers of falsified records and secret accounts lay a shocking name, Peskov. The very name he thought he knew, shrouded in darkness. How deep did this conspiracy run? What undisclosed powers were pulling the strings? The answer was just a scan away. The discovery cropped like a lightning strike, an intricate web of corruption, connections, and betrayal. As the man stared at the screens, fragments of a larger picture formed chains of money flowing through unseen channels, influence spreading like a shadow over the country's core. Suddenly, a coded message flashed on the screen, a command for action. The room's atmosphere thickened, the walls seemed to close in. The question burned in his mind, was he already part of something far beyond his understanding? The realization hit, if he exposed this, his entire existence could unravel in an instant. Was he trustworthy enough to carry this burden? The silent, deadly web was tightening. He knew now, there was no turning back. His pulse quickened, and he moved swiftly, knowing that the stakes had skyrocketed. With trembling hands, he sealed the damning files inside a concealed safe, the weight of the truth pressing down on him. Outside, distant footsteps echoed, an ominous reminder that he was no longer alone. The room's shadows seemed to whisper secrets, dark and dangerous. Every breath felt labored, each heartbeat loud in the stillness. Was someone watching? Was he already compromised? The answer lingered, an unspoken, deadly question hanging in the air. As he stared into the mirror, reflecting a face strained with worry, the walls around him seemed to close, trapping him in a universe of secrets that could shatter the world. The game had begun, and there was no escape. Suddenly, the room's calm shattered, the distant sound of footsteps, hurried voices, and unfamiliar orders. A wave of cold sweat broke over him. Every nerve was alert, this was no ordinary day. The atmosphere thickened as he moved toward a secure communication terminal, an intricate device linked to the most classified channels. His fingers trembling slightly, he decrypted fragments of hidden files, piecing together a dangerous mosaic. It revealed a complex hierarchy and underground network capable of rivaling official power. The realization devastated him, the country's fate depended on this secret structure. He understood that revealing it would mean risking everything: death, betrayal, chaos. Yet, the truth called louder than fear. The web of influence extended far beyond official channels, an invisible force controlling the corridors of power. As he navigated this maze, an unsettling truth emerged: the leaders of this shadow play were not just powerful, they were ruthless. Suddenly, a new message appeared, an urgent command to proceed with a clandestine operation. The moment had come. The delicate balance of power was shifting beneath his feet. The walls of his world were cracking, the facade was crumbling. The question was no longer if he could stop the impending disaster, but whether he was willing to risk everything to unveil the truth. The game was in motion, shadows lengthening, secrets spilling into light. The stakes couldn't be higher. Everything was about to change forever. 5 minutes ago, in Russia, chaos erupted out of nowhere. An unexpected event shattered the quiet, leaving everyone stunned. Andrei Belozov, once seen as a composed technocrat, suddenly demanded answers from Dmitry Peskov himself. He appeared fierce, exposing secrets hidden beneath layers of corruption. The question burning in everyone's mind: where did 700 million rubles vanish, lost in shadows and mystery? Who's hiding behind those dark faces? Imagine a calm man pushed to his limit, standing before a wall of power. Without security or witnesses, he drills through the silence, clutching a folder that feels unnaturally light yet holds secrets deadly enough to topple nations. Inside, encrypted documents reveal a web of unseen connections, money flowing through clandestine companies, hidden figures pulling strings from behind the scenes. And all the while, Peskov's name lurks at the center, tangled deeply in this dark scheme. What is he hiding? What truths are buried beneath those coded lines? As Belozov confronts that wall, the air thickens, charged, ominous, almost pulsing with danger. Now, the story takes a darker turn. Belozov, traditionally methodical and reserved, rushes into his office early dawn, eager to uncover what lies beneath the surface. The city outside remains quiet, almost too still, before chaos unleashes. He opens a folder sent overnight. Its contents are a jarring mosaic: numbers that don't add up, assets misplaced, shadowy transfers untraceable by ordinary means. In these few pages, a truth begins to emerge, one already hidden in plain sight. The name Peskov surfaces again. This time with more disturbing implications. His involvement isn't merely indirect, it's embedded deep within a secret network untraceable by conventional channels. Belozov's hands tremble slightly as the weight of this knowledge presses down. Why now? Why expose the scheme at this precise moment? The answer looms like a thundercloud. He senses the danger intensify. Alone, he steps back from the files, feeling the cold metal of the safe as he secures the evidence. The room quiets, but his mind races. Someone's watching. This silence is deafening, every breath feels heavy, each pulse echoing loud in his ears. He catches his reflection in the mirror, tired, yet steel-hearted. A storm is brewing, and he is on the front line. Just as he contemplates calling someone, every nerve tingles, a silent warning. The network's signals are spiking, indicating an imminent breach. Every second counts. The quiet corridors now sound ominous, as if the walls themselves are whispering secrets. Belozov moves swiftly, there's no room for hesitation. The game is about to begin. In the shadows of this tense game of power, Belozov heads to the command room. The atmosphere thickens, the air smells metallic, tinged with anticipation. Here, information flows through invisible bridges, encrypted lines and secret channels. Behind the monitored screens, the real battle unfolds. Facts reveal a broad horizontal network, rivaling the state's own vertical power, dangerous, unpredictable, and precise. But suddenly, a subtle shift occurs. Something is broken. The invisible cracks become visible, the careful facade begins to fracture. The room is filled with a rising, almost palpable tension. Outside, the storm gathers momentum. The question remains, who is truly in control? The entire system teeters on the brink of collapse. Belozov knows if he doesn't act now, this house of cards will fall apart, unleashing chaos deeper than anyone can imagine. The story takes a shocking twist. The moment the major players realize they are cut off, their meticulously crafted web of influence begins to unravel and unthinkable chaos erupts. Operators scramble for control, but signals are dead. The network they built so carefully over years begins to fade, silenced without warning. Simultaneously, armed units seize key locations, arresting suspects with surgical precision. The city trembles as documents, interrogations, and arrests flow out like rapid-fire bursts. It's as if someone had pulled the plug on their entire operation, quiet, deliberate, and ruthless. The elite, usually used to answering calls instantly, now sit in stunned silence. Their power evaporates with alarming speed. Their network, once seemingly unstoppable, cracks like ice, just as Belozov had suspected, that true control often lies not in official documents, but in the shadows where information disappears. And as the chaos explodes, he realizes, the game has just begun. Just 5 minutes ago, a shocking event unfolded in Russia, something that'll leave you breathless. Andrei Belozov, known for his calm, methodical nature, suddenly shattered his own image. This morning, he threw off the mask of the typical technocrat and demanded answers from Dmitry Peskov, the man supposedly at the very heart of the power structure. Where did the 700 million rubles vanish? Who was hiding behind the shadows and strange faces? Without security, without witnesses, Belozov confronted a massive wall, an impenetrable barrier. But why now? Why reveal what was hidden? Why is Peskov's name tangled at the very center of this scheme? Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear will blow your mind. Like this story, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Support Andrei Ramovich in his quest to unveil the truth. In the quiet darkness of dawn, Belozov's sharp pace pushed him through the empty streets. The city still slept, unaware of the storm brewing inside him. His gaze, usually razor-sharp, was different today, focused, almost haunted. With a thin folder in hand, he approached the black door that guards secrets too dangerous to reveal. This folder came silently, delivered overnight, no calls, no warnings. Just silence. Its contents, thin but heavy with implications, hid truths that could topple systems. Inside, a web of corruption, money moved through shadow companies, concealed from official records. Numbers, names, transactions, all blacked out. He read again, more slowly this time, because the weight of what he uncovered was staggering. Among the lines was a name, Peskov. Not just a figure, this connection was the key to a hidden conspiracy, lurking beneath the surface where journalists and analysts never dared to look. He understood the significance instantly. This wasn't casual corruption, this was a deep, manipulative network. The veneer of authority was a fragile mask. The true power was a secret force, an invisible system controlling events from behind the scenes. In that moment, he closed the folder. Carefully, deliberately. The stakes had just become unimaginably higher. He slipped the document into a safe, a quiet, private vault where secrets rest, waiting to be exposed. Yet, the room, suddenly loud with the hum of tension, betrayed no emotion. He looked into the mirror. His face was tired, hardened by the knowledge he bore. His eyes, however, burned with resolve. He understood that revealing these truths could change everything, and it might even cost him his life. He hesitated for a moment, feeling the weight of the decision. Then he turned away, deciding not to call anyone just yet. There, in the silence, he sensed something approaching, an unseen threat, a presence lurking near. His heart pounded. Every nerve was on edge. Outside the room, the police patrols moved oddly calm, but too deliberate. Something was coming. Something dangerous. He retreated to the analysis room, a stark, windowless space filled with screens and wires. Here, he connected the dots, building a mosaic of facts, hidden alliances, covert operations, secret interests. The web was wider than anyone imagined, an intricate hierarchy that challenged the very fabric of official authority. He saw how this network could rival the government's vertical control, a dangerous game with high stakes. But he was no longer an outsider looking in. He decided this had to be stopped, whatever the cost. His mind raced. The operation was set. The clock was ticking. In the shadows, a new reality was forming, a world where secrets no longer stayed hidden. When the government's constitutional defense pressed its secret button that morning, it connected him to a figure only spoken of in whispers, a man who was about to change everything. One word: disruption. The hidden war had begun. The facade of stability was cracking, thin fractures revealing chaos beneath. Andrei Romanovich knew he was fighting more than corruption, he was battling a system designed to control, manipulate, and silence dissent. Every step forward led him deeper into a labyrinth of lies, where identities blurred and truths disappeared. The web spun wider. Deep inside this underground labyrinth, a shadow lurked, masked, silent, waiting. Only he could see the cracks growing, threatening to shatter everything he thought was real. He examined old diplomatic archives, tracing the roots of a boy raised in corridors of power, his childhood fragmented across secret countries, shadowed identities, and buried memories. The records told different stories: official history versus hidden truths. Disappearance, manipulation, erased traces. A shadow's influence was everywhere. An unseen hand stretching across borders, yet no one dared admit its existence. His investigation revealed a hidden laboratory, where human shadows were laid over each other, obscuring the truth. He sat in the dim glow of a monitor, immersed in a different reality, an invisible battlefield. The data, like a living organism, pulsed with secrets, biographies, coded messages, hidden alliances. He questioned everything. What was real? Who was truly behind this maze? His mind, sharpened by years of experience, unraveled the complex layers of deception like a spiral spiraling into chaos. Suddenly, a new figure appeared, an unexpected catalyst destabilizing the entire system. The moment of exposure was near. The unseen war was reaching its climax. This story is a revelation, a shocking glimpse into a world where power manipulates from the shadows. The game is extraordinary, dangerous, and only just beginning to unfold. 5 minutes ago, Russia faced an unexpected upheaval. An ordinary day turned into a storm of revelations, secrets crumbling in an instant. Andrei Belozov, once seen as a calm, precise technocrat, suddenly shattered that image. He stormed into the office of Dmitry Peskov, demanding answers. Where did the 700 million rubles vanish? Was it buried in shadows, hidden behind strange figures and dark backgrounds? Imagine the silence before a thunderclap. Without warning, Belozov approached the Peskov wall, no bodyguards, no witnesses, just raw confrontation. Was he reckless, or driven by something more profound? Why now? What scheme was concealed so deep that even the powerful names blurred to insignificance? These questions hang heavily in the air. Stay with me until the end. We'll uncover a truth so shocking, it may change everything you thought you knew about power and secrets. Keep watching as the story unfolds. Like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts. Support the truth. Let's begin. Andrei Romanovich, known for his swift movements and sharp gaze, began his day early, before the city's heartbeat awakened. The streets were still cloaked in silence, the air thick with the scent of cold concrete and distant asphalt. His eyes, usually piercing and analytical, looked different today, like a river running tumultuous beneath calm waters. In his hand, he carried a folder thin, but packed with weighty secrets. That folder arrived unexpectedly, all hours of the night, without warning, sealed tight. Only a whisper of its contents seeped out, documents too dangerous for discussion. Kept hidden even from the security services. Belozov slipped into his car, moving through the empty city streets, with the folder pressed against his side, cold to the touch, as if alive. Finally reaching his destination, he opened the folder. The silence inside the room was deafening, yet every detail echoed loudly in his mind. The first thing that struck him wasn't figures or schemes, but the stark realization corruption was woven into the fabric of power itself. The documents revealed a labyrinthine web of displacements, funds passing through shell companies, hidden under layers of secrecy, distancing those involved from any trace of guilt. His eyes narrowed as he read again, not out of confusion but understanding. Among these, one name struck him like a thunderbolt: Peskov. Official records tried to mask the truth, but his keen glance caught the signs: a shadow behind the facade, a web of secrets linking the top echelons. Something was deeply wrong. This discovery was no ordinary leakage. It exposed a hidden infrastructure and underground network that rivaled the official hierarchy. No one saw it, they didn't even suspect its existence. It was a silent, nervous system running beneath the surface, feeding corruption into every corner of the country. Could such a system be eradicated? Or had it grown so vast that to cut the head off would be to sever the entire body? Belozov closed the folder. Carefully, he placed it into the safe. The atmosphere in the room shifted, an unspoken warning. Someone had entered his space, an unexpected visitor's presence that chilled even the hardest resolve. The room's silence was broken only by his reflection in the mirror, tired but unyielding. He cast a glance at himself, pondering the heavy choices lying ahead. He reached for his phone, yet paused. Every action in this moment felt weighted. Any rash move could trigger an avalanche of consequences. He stepped into the corridor, guards and officers passing by, oblivious to what was unfolding behind closed doors. This was a game where trust was a lie, and power, the ultimate illusion. In a small, windowless analytical room, Belozov activated a secure terminal. Operator cords, encrypted channels, tight security, everything was designed to keep secrets safe. He sifted through layers of data, numbers, files, fragments of intelligence that refused to piece together normally. What he uncovered was alarming, a horizontal network of influence, capable of challenging the official, vertical authority. Could the system be turned against itself? It was a dangerous, provocative thought, yet undeniable. He didn't know the full picture, but he knew enough. His decision was made, to confront the hidden agencies, regardless of political fallout. The game was no longer about investigation, it was about survival. Suddenly, an internal alert, an early sign of breach. The code detected movement, an ominous ripple through the elite circles. People began to call, whispering questions without answers. Some remained silent, their eyes betraying unspoken fears. The moment had arrived, the calm before the storm. Belozov continued his work. Every keystroke, every calculation, was vital. The map of influence was vast, secret alliances. Shadowed interests, unseen enemies lurking in the dark. He saw the threads connecting world powers, hidden agendas intertwined like a tangled web. In that moment, he realized, the house of cards was collapsing. His focus sharpened. The network's movements signaled an impending shift, an imminent threat to the entire system. As the last link confirmed, he understood the stakes. If he hesitated, the entire country risked being turned into steel, an unbreakable fortress of corruption. He pressed the button, an order for a covert operation. The clock was ticking. This was no ordinary mission, it was a battle for the very soul of the nation. The new reality was emerging, silent, dangerous, unstoppable. The cracks in the facade grew too thin. Soon, it would shatter. To understand the true strength of a person, you must observe what they conceal and what they desperately hide away. Belozov knew better than most, the strongest structures are built on lies, on deserts of information, on blanks filled with shadows. The more the truth was buried, the more dangerous it became to unearth. Sitting in his narrow room, Belozov looked at the glowing monitor, an icy blue window into a world nobody dared explore. Each pixel revealed a fragment of the shadow play, a masquerade of identities, a delicate dance of deception. His childhood memories flickered, roots planted deep in diplomatic corridors, stories of secret ties across continents, hidden truths buried in archives and forgotten files. The official biography was a facade. Behind closed doors, a different story played out, one of hidden alliances, mysterious disappearances, and enigmatic families. His records told of a childhood spent in foreign lands, yet the traces were faint, almost erased. Someone had tried to wipe him away, leaving behind only whispers and weak signals. The trail led to a smoky maze of evidence, files with gaps, documents with missing pieces. The past was distorted, reshaped by unseen hands, as if the truth refused to be fully revealed. His mother's name appeared fleetingly, a ghostly silhouette in faded records. The family's history was a puzzle that refused to be completed. With every step, Belozov felt the weight of hidden forces, an intricate web woven deeply inside the fabric of the state. The clues in the archive suggested a complex game, layers of stories, half-truths, deliberate omissions. He could sense that someone was watching, listening, waiting for him to slip. The appearance of a mysterious figure in Moscow's shadows only heightened the tension. Magnificent, yet ominous, the figure moved seamlessly through corridors, an embodiment of power and secrecy. As if orchestrating unseen events, the figure sent ripples through the corridors, preparing for something unseen. The emerging threat was like a silent predator. Every step, every breath in this shadowy game carried the weight of potential catastrophe. Belozov's mind raced. Who stands behind the curtain? What schemes are being woven in silence? And how deep does the conspiracy run? The cracks in the facade widened. The invisible barriers, once thought unbreakable, now trembled under the pressure. The house of cards was collapsing, made of lies, illusions, secrets. The truth, like a fragile mirror, was about to shatter all illusions, exposing the darkness beneath. Each revelation confirmed one thing: the true power lies hidden, concealed beneath layers of deception. To see what others ignore is to hold the key to everything. The fight for control is not over yet, but the shadows are growing restless. In this game of shadows and secrets, the line between friend and foe blurs. Every move, every word, could be the last. The truth waits in the darkness. Will you dare to look? Several minutes ago, a shocking event unfolded in Russia. Andrei Belozov, known for his calm, methodical demeanor, suddenly shattered his usual composure. He forced his way into the office of Dmitry Peskov, demanding answers he had long avoided. His voice cracked the silence. Where had the missing 700 million rubles gone? Who was behind the shadows? Why had silence reigned all these years? The room, thick with tension, felt like the calm before a devastating storm. He arrived early, when the city was still shrouded in a heavy fog of dawn, the streets silent and deserted. Normally, he moved swiftly, almost like a ghost rushing through space, seeking truth beneath the surface. Today, however, his eyes betrayed a storm of emotion. Instead of his usual sharp gaze, they reflected deep rivers of inner turmoil, as if he was swimming in a river of unrest. Clutched tightly in his hand was a manila folder, thin, unassuming, yet dangerous enough to destabilize everything. It arrived in the dead of night, carried without notice, sealed by the shadows of the security service's walls. He headed straight to his office, trying to catch a glimpse of the city before revealing what lay within the folder. As he moved through the streets in his complex vehicle, cold sweat prickled his skin. When the door finally opened, he found himself staring at the folder. His fingers trembled as he cracked it open, revealing something that looked innocent, perhaps even insignificant. But appearances deceive. The first thing he saw was not numbers or schemes, but the chilling realization that everything was a lie. A web of false assets. Manipulated figures, concealed movements through shadow companies, hidden behind a curtain of seemingly legitimate documentation. And then, like a lightning strike, the name caught his eye: Peskov. Why was it there? Why was this name so deeply embedded in a maze of deception? The official reports painted one picture, but behind those records, a different truth simmered, hidden, dangerous, explosive. It was no longer just about corruption, it was an intricate mechanism of power, corrupted and unraveled. His heart pounded as he stared deeper into the document, feeling the weight of unseen eyes analyzing his every move. His mind shifted gears fast. No security, no witnesses, only the cold weight of the truth pressing against him. He closed the folder slowly, the sound of metal closing echoing like a death knell. Without hesitation, he placed it into a safe, an act of finality, of defiance. His reflection stared back from the mirror, tired but resolute. Every line on his face told a story of sleepless nights and dangerous secrets. For a moment, he wondered, was he strong enough to confront this? Could he carry this revelation alone? Suddenly, an unexpected voice broke the silence. The room, silent moments before, now filled with an ominous presence. The atmosphere thickened, nylon curtains muffled footsteps, shadows moved in. He sensed that the web was tightening, that every move he made was under watch. The network of influence, the hidden agendas, these were no longer just whispers in the corridors of power. They were real. They were moving. He moved toward a small analytical room, distant from prying eyes and ears. Inside, a terminal flickered alive, connected to a secret network, access limited to just 4 individuals. As he sifted through fragmented data files, calculations, hidden relationships, his heart raced. The connections revealed a horizontal structure capable of rivaling the official hierarchy, a dangerous, unseen power. Could this be the foundation of a secret shadow government controlling everything? The thought sent a shiver down his spine. The network trembled. Influential figures began panicking, calling each other with silent desperation. Others withdrew, silent as graves. The air was filled with dread, something unseen, yet felt everywhere. Then, an alert flashed, a signal that lines of communication were being cut. The game had changed. The masks were slipping. The facade cracked, fragile as ice, revealing the dark abyss beneath. In moments like these, silence becomes deafening. The power structure, built on deception, began to crumble. He knew what was coming, an irreversible shift. The truth was no longer hidden, it was bleeding into the open, unstoppable. The moment he pressed the secret button, connecting to a person he could trust, at that critical second a new chapter began. One that would push the country into chaos or spark a revolution. The scene was set for a new reality. It was dangerous, requiring utmost caution. The thin veneer of control shattered as the cracks widened. Intuition told him that somewhere behind the scenes, forces were preparing to strike back. But he was already moving, ready to face the storm. The delicate balance of power was about to be broken, and nothing would ever be the same. To understand a person, you must see what they hide when no one is looking. Andrei Belazov understood this better than anyone, knowing that true strength comes from peering into the darkness, revealing the shadows creeping beneath the surface. The declines in official narratives, the gaps in records, these all pointed to one thing: secrets buried deep. He sat alone in a dimly lit room, eyes fixed on the monitor. The screen flickered with a blue glow, displaying fragments of stories, diplomatic archives, old documents, whispered legends. The boy's past, the shadowy upbringing in the foreign corridors of diplomatic missions, all woven into a tapestry of unknown truths. His own biography was a puzzle, disjointed, disappearing, concealed behind layers of deception. Historical records failed to align, some pages erased, others distorted. The traces of his past showed signs of deliberate destruction, lost years, hidden identities. The archives hinted at another nationality, another life, yet the school records suggested otherwise. Whispers of his mother emerged only in scattered memories, faint, almost ghostly in detail. Few could piece together her story, just fragments scattered across faded photographs and forgotten files. This was no coincidence. The secrets buried beneath the surface pointed to an intricate wind of influence, an elaborate scheme designed to hide the truth. Evidence hinted at third-party involvement, powerful entities operating behind the curtain. Every document, every minute detail, was a puzzle, dangerous, compelling. Could it all be part of a wider conspiracy? His gaze shifted to a foreign city, magnificent, vibrant, full of promises, yet beneath its surface lurked a dark undercurrent. The atmosphere crackled with tension, silent, expectant. No one saw the danger lurking behind the seemingly everyday life. The halls of power, the corridors of influence, these were all part of a grand illusion, a carefully crafted puppet show. Andrei saw it all, sharp as a blade, every secret, every whispered lie. Tracing the origins of this shadow, how influence spread and corrupted, the puzzle became even more complex. The flow of information, the silent power brokers, the unseen hands shaping events, this spiral of influence threatened to swallow everything. It was no longer just about political maneuvering, it was a battle for control of the very fabric of society. He realized the true danger, a hidden storm brewing, a force so vast it threatened to topple the entire system. The moment the shadow revealed itself, nothing would remain untouched. The mask had fallen, revealing the chaos. And he knew he had to act before it was too late. The game was over. The pieces were in motion. The country's fate now hung in the balance, trembling on the edge of destruction. 5 minutes ago, in the heart of Russia, chaos erupted unexpectedly. A calm man, once thought to be a steady technocrat, suddenly tore through the silence. His name is Andrei Belozov. Known for his composed demeanor, today he shattered that image completely. He stormed into the office of Vladimir Peskov, demanding answers no one had dared ask before. How did 700 million rubles vanish without a trace? Who was behind the shadowy figures? Why was Peskov, the trusted advisor, suddenly at the center of a dangerous scheme? The room's darkness seemed to intensify, as if hiding a secret that could topple a state. Why now? Why reveal this abyss now, after years of silence? Was this about justice or revenge? What is hidden beneath the surface that makes this story so explosive? Stay till the end, you'll be shocked by what emerges from the shadows. Don't forget to support Andrei Ramovich in the comments. Now, let's go back to the beginning. Andrei Ramovich Belozov always moved fast, like a bullet through space. Before dawn, he arrived at his office, where the city still slept in quiet anticipation. His usual expression was sharp, like the edge of a mathematical formula, imposing and precise. But that day, his eyes betrayed a storm within. They reflected a river deep, turbulent, full of unspoken fears. In his hand, he carried a folder thin but dangerous enough to shake the foundations. It came overnight, without calls, warnings, just a mysterious package sealed with secrecy. An object meant for no discussion, kept under lock and key at the security service. As he stepped outside, he took in the early silence, the city still unaware of the storm brewing. His car moved swiftly, cloaked in shadows. Reaching the secretive depths of the building, he held the folder tight, ice-cold against his palm. Finally, he opened it. His first glance revealed not numbers or schemes, but a chilling truth. The contents were unlike regular documents: discrepancies in assets, hidden transactions, movement through mysterious companies. Those involved were not listed anywhere publicly. It was as if a ghost had forged it, impossible to trace. And suddenly, his eyes locked onto a name: Peskov. A name that linked to his support, now a piece in this deadly puzzle. The documents exposed a shadow world deep within the government, hidden from all. Out of sight, out of mind, until now. Inside the office, a cold realization set in. This wasn't merely about corruption. It was about something far more sinister, something that touched the core of power itself. A web of secrets, invisible to the outside world, waiting to entangle and destroy. Belozov closed the folder. Slow, deliberate. He knew this was no ordinary revelation. This was a game-changer. He locked the documents in a safe, but the danger was already palpable. A tense silence filled the room. Every second felt like a countdown. He looked at himself in the mirror, tired, weighty, almost broken, yet determined to act. He hesitated only for a moment, then reached for his phone. But he didn't call anyone. The risk was too high. A faint vibration hinted that enemies were closing in. He moved down the corridor. The police patrols were unconventional today. The usual presence, replaced by quiet, lurking shadows. He escaped to a small secure room, no windows, no cameras, just a terminal connected to a clandestine network. Only 4 had access. As he logged in, the screen flickered. They were tracing him. He pieced together fragments, files, calculations, hidden links. The network connected criminal groups, political factions, and secret interest circles, an underground web rivaling the official hierarchy. This was a dangerous insight, an entire parallel structure that could challenge the entire state apparatus. The thought was chilling. Yet, he already made his decision: call the internal forces, prepare an operation. He transmitted the command. The system responded, an ominous chain reaction. In the distance, distant whispers turned into whispers of panic. Influential figures started to call each other, frantic and confused. Others fell silent, sensing the impending chaos. The elite felt it too, the invisible tremor beneath the surface. A threat no one fully understood, but everyone sensed. He didn't stop. The game had begun. Every move was calculated, an unseen war for control. Suddenly, the screen confirmed the last connection: 3 magnets and 2 rubber structures linked to a secretive operation. The moment was crucial. If left unchecked, this could unravel the entire country. One more command and order to launch a decisive strike. The darkness grew heavier. The tension was unbearable. The moment of truth had arrived. Yesterday's fragile stability was crumbling. Beneath the concrete layers of the bunker, the true game played out. Heavy pipes, cold, echoing with the sounds of an unseen war, snaked through the building. They signaled that everything was out of control. The chaos had started with the infrastructure, silent, deadly, relentless. Now, everything was on the edge. How deep does the corruption go? How many secrets are buried beneath the surface? And what is the true face of those pulling the strings? Stay tuned, what's hidden behind this web will shock you. The game is only beginning. 5 minutes ago, a shocking event unfolded in Russia. A figure known for calmness and precision suddenly shattered that image. Andrei Belazov, a pragmatic but unassuming technocrat, stepped forward with relentless determination. Without warning, he demanded explanations from Dmitry Peskov, questioning the whereabouts of 700 million rubles. His voice echoed through the dark corridors, demanding accountability. Why now? Was there something secret hidden beneath the surface? What conspired behind the shadows that even the most seasoned officials hesitated to reveal? Listen closely, because this is where the story takes a wild turn. Belazov stormed to Peskov's office wall, silent, intense. No security guards, no witnesses, just an unbreakable resolve. Before the truth could slip away, he revealed a revelation that could blow apart the entire political landscape: a network of hidden finances, dark money flowing through obscure companies. And standing at the center of this web was Peskov himself. What secret scheme was buried beneath layers of deception? Why did Belazov decide to uncover it now, risking everything? As the room tightens with unseen tension, a bombshell drops: the story's deepest secrets are about to explode. Stay with me. This isn't just a scandal, it's the unraveling of a nation's hidden fabric. The question hangs in the air: will the truth save Russia or destroy what's left of its fragile facade? Prepare for a journey into shadows, power, and betrayal. Secrets so dark you'll wonder what the true face of authority hides behind the mask. This is only the beginning. The real story is about to unfold, and it's more explosive than you could imagine. 5 minutes ago, something shocking unfolded in Russia, stirring the entire nation's silence into chaos. What was once unthinkable became undeniable: secrets buried deep within the corridors of power are surfacing. Andrei Belazov, a man known for his calm precision, suddenly burst into the spotlight, demanding answers from the highest echelons. His voice cut through the morning quiet as he challenged the silence of Dmitry Peskov, questioning where nearly 700 million rubles had vanished. Behind a dark curtain of secrecy and strange faces, he stood face to face with a truth that could shatter everything. Why now? Why reveal what's hidden? What scheme is laying exposed, linking Peskov directly to this financial abyss? Stay tuned. The story will leave you breathless. Andrei Belazov's footsteps echoed through the city's icy dawn, swift and purposeful. His mind raced, drenched in the cold smell of early morning. The streets lay empty, their silence broken only by the hum of shifting cars. This morning felt different. In his mind, a sharp image sharpened, an image of a man with piercing eyes, steadfast, yet haunted. In his hand, he clutched a folder, a tiny vessel of deadly secrets too fragile to ignore. Delivered overnight, without warning, it was a sealed box of blackmail, hidden in the vault of the Federal Security Service. It felt like holding a live wire. He hurried to his office, where the city's normal rhythm was replaced by an unease that prickled his skin. As he stared at that folder, every instinct said, "Open it." A single glance, and the world spun anew. Inside that sealed folder, the first thing that hit him wasn't numbers or official stamps. It was the cold realization that the entire financial scheme was a labyrinth, twisted, tangled, concealed behind layers of deception. Hidden transactions, fake companies, shell accounts all interconnected under a veil of legality. He read twice, the sentences clenched like fistfuls of ice. And one name stood out, Paskov. That name, the one whispered behind closed doors, was now unmistakably linked to this web of corruption. Profiles and shadowy connections pointed to secret deals, hidden offshore accounts, and money that disappeared into the dark unknown. The truth lay buried in the depths of a covert system designed to hide the worst. His pulse quickened. He understood, this wasn't just corruption. It was a network, one that undermined the very fabric of the state. Quietly, he closed the folder, knowing that the storm he now faced could destroy him. With hardened resolve, Belozov secured the fragile evidence in a safe. Yet, as he turned away, an icy silence filled the room, profound, absolute. The air grew thick with tension. Who was watching? His own reflection in the mirror revealed tired eyes, dark with exhaustion but burning with purpose. It was not time to call anyone. The world around him sharpened into a blur, sounds of distant footsteps, muffled voices, the faint hum of machinery. Every movement felt amplified, like the calm before a hurricane. Suddenly, the walls seemed to shift, the invisible strings of power drew tighter. He felt it, an imperceptible vibration, warning him that the game was changing. Shadows danced at the edge of perception. And as he stepped into the corridor, he sensed he was no longer alone. The corridors held secrets dangerous and veiled, and he was standing at the threshold of a revelation that could shake the foundations of the nation itself. In the depths of the city, Belozov's instincts kicked into overdrive. His steps echoed through the silent halls, structured, deliberate. Every corridor, every shadow, whispered secrets. The city's heartbeat seemed to pulse with uncertainty. He moved into a small, windowless analysis room, an underground chamber where no cameras watched, where silence was deafening. On the terminal, digital lines flickered, imperfect, fragile, and dangerous. Connecting dots, fragments, theories, pieces of a puzzle racing out of control. What he uncovered was staggering. A web of influence stretching across families, corporations, and clandestine groups, built to rival the official power structures. The vertical hierarchy was vulnerable, flat, flexible, deadly. Could this underground network threaten the entire system? Every sign pointed toward yes. Which side would win? The game had only just begun. As the digital mosaic unraveled, the atmosphere thickened with tension. Whispers grew louder, elite voices, hurried calls, frantic whispers. Some sought to silence him. Others wondered what he knew. The air crackled, electric, volatile. Something unseen was shifting, an ominous presence lurking beneath the surface. The shadows of corruption thickened the whole room. Then, suddenly, a ripple. The system's silent alarm sounded. Someone powerful, unseen, was feeling exposed. Belozov's finger hovered over the keyboard, knowing that any move could spark chaos. The network was alive, pulsating, spreading, sending tremors through the corridors of influence. Only one thing was clear: if he faltered, the entire country might collapse into darkness. But would he risk everything to break the silence? The stakes couldn't be higher, and time was running out. Late into the night, Belozov knew the true battle had begun. His mind raced through the details: fraudulent transactions, offshore accounts, and powerful connections, all woven into a tapestry of deception. The evidence told a story of betrayal, greed, and suppression. The deeper he dug, the more dangerous it became. He remembered the whispers of old diplomatic secrets, clues from childhood about shadows hiding behind the facade of the state. The picture was clear: he dealt with a conspiracy far larger than he had imagined. Every step forward was a risk, every decision a leap into the unknown. The system was cracking, thread after thread snapping beneath the weight of truth. But could he survive the storm he was about to unleash? Or would he become just another victim in a game far more deadly than anyone realized? The clock ticked, the shadows lengthened, and the truth hung in the balance. Just 5 minutes ago, everything changed in Russia. An event so shocking, it's hard to believe, yet it's happening. Andrei Belozov, a man known for his calm, rational demeanor, suddenly threw open the curtain on a scandal that could shake the foundations of the highest powers. He demanded answers from Dmitry Peskov himself, accusing him of hiding a staggering 700 million rubles. Where did this money go? Into the shadows, behind strange faces, dark corridors. Without security or witnesses, Belozov arrived straight to the heart of the issue, clutching a folder that could blow everything apart. It was an ordinary-looking file, yet inside, the secrets it held were explosive connections, transactions, figures hidden from public view. But what truly caught his eye was a name, Peskov. Deeply embedded in the network of concealed schemes. This discovery linked the entire corruption web to the very core of the government, an ominous truth no one dared to confront. Why now? Why did Belozov, a man of reserved logic, decide to self-destruct by exposing this? He saw what others refused to see, a fragile, crackling facade hiding monstrous secrets. His decision to go public wasn't just about money, it was a direct blow to a concealed machinery that controlled their lives. Power and influence, they're just masks for something darker, something more insidious. Belozov's actions threatened to dismantle the entire illusion, revealing a hidden system that feeds on silence and corruption. The moment his eyes met the document, chaos erupted. The room, tense with unspoken fears, was about to explode. His internal voice demanded truth, even if it meant risking everything. The folder was hurriedly stashed away, a silent warning of a storm brewing. Behind his calm face, a war raged, a battle for truth, for justice, for survival. He knew that once this was unveiled, nothing would ever be the same. He moved swiftly, leaving the solitude of his office to step into the streets. The city was still asleep, but in his mind, a war cry echoed. Shadows lengthened, the world seemed to tremble. Somewhere, unseen eyes watched him. Did he realize that by revealing these secrets, he was unleashing forces far beyond his control? The very structure of power was trembling, and all hell was about to break loose. In a hidden room far from prying eyes, a risk was being calculated, a game of shadows and whispers. The network beneath the surface stretched vast and threatening, capable of shaping the fate of nations. Belozov understood that once he opened this Pandora's box, there was no turning back. The system's grip was looser than ever, trembling on the brink of collapse. As he prepared to move forward, the city around him seemed to pulse with a strange vibration, almost imperceptible, yet undeniable. A silent signal warning him that the carefully constructed walls of control were cracking. What was hidden beneath the surface was far more terrifying than anyone could imagine. The question now was, what comes after? And will anyone have the courage to face the truth? Prepare for the unexpected. In the shadows of power. Secrets are deadly, and Belozov's revelation may just be the trigger that unleashes chaos on an unprecedented scale. 5 minutes ago, an extraordinary event unfolded in Russia. A man named Andrei Belozov, known for his calm and precise demeanor as a technocrat, suddenly shattered his composure. In the early hours, he demanded answers from top officials, confronting the man behind the scene, Dmitry Peskov, in a shocking public display. His questions pierced the silence. Where did 700 million rubles vanish? Why are strange faces lurking behind a dark curtain of secrecy? Without guards or witnesses, he approached the wall where Peskov was supposedly protected. An impossible choice loomed. What was he about to reveal, and why now? The stakes had never been higher, and the secrets hidden in that encounter could change everything. Stay tuned, because what happens next will leave you stunned. Belozov always moved swiftly, driven by an urgent force. That morning, he entered his office before the city woke, while the air still held a faint chill of anticipation. Usually, he's a sharp-eyed man, with a look that's almost mathematical in its precision. But that day, his gaze was different, intense, like a man lost in the middle of a turbulent river, where every current threatens to pull him under. Clutching a folder that seemed too thin for the weight of its secrets, he carried with him a burden from the night before. An anonymous package arrived, uncalled for and ominous. It was a document no one dared to discuss. Its arrival was like a warning sign, sealed within the Federal Security Service's clandestine corridors. Motionless, he watched the city from a window, trying to grasp the magnitude of what lay ahead before opening the folder. The silence in his ears was deafening, only the faint hum of city life persisted, a background noise masking the storm brewing beneath. When he finally opened the folder, the sight was chilling. The sheet revealed no ordinary data, no numbers, schemes, or lists of assets. Instead, it contained a tangled web of secrets, revealing a flow of money through shadowy post-war companies and cryptic figures whose names were erased from public registers. His mind replayed the words, he read the details twice, not out of confusion, but because he understood all too well. Among the lines, one name stood out, Peskov. The realization hit him like a lightning strike, illuminating a shadowy scheme that connected top government circles to deep-rooted corruption. The document's implications were staggering. It hinted at a hidden network operating within the heart of the power structure, something even seasoned journalists and analysts had never uncovered. And there, on the page, was the name he trusted most, the very person who should have been beyond suspicion, now implicated in the darkest of secrets. As he absorbed the enormity of what he read, his mind raced. If this information was true, and every instinct told him it was, his entire world was about to crumble. The official scripts, the public masks, all of it was a carefully constructed illusion. What lay beneath was a tangled, invisible web of influence, that silent, unseen force controlling from the shadows. The discovery was like a nerve exposed, trembling with danger. He closed the folder slowly, as if sealing his own fate. Blink by blink, he felt the weight shift and irreversible turn had begun. Without hesitation, he locked the document inside a safe, knowing that exposure meant upheaval. The room was silent, except for the echo of his own thoughts. His reflection in the mirror was tired, yet resolute. He knew this was a moment of transformation. Any move could trigger a network of unseen responses, an invisible threat creeping closer. He didn't dial anyone now, signs of impending chaos were everywhere, even in the faint whisper of the network itself. Suddenly, the room filled with an unanticipated noise, the unexpected sound of footsteps and murmurs outside. The ordinary morning was breaking into something much darker. Evidence of a lurking storm was everywhere, strange whispers through wall cracks, faint metallic scents in the air, a subtle vibration beneath the floor. His senses sharpened, he could feel the tension radiating from the corridors. People who should have been in control were acting strangely. Parking lot signals disappeared, brief flashes captured cameras and orchestrated chaos. As officials hurriedly left the building, their faces masks of confusion and urgency, Belozov realized the very fabric of the city's power was unraveling right before his eyes. An elite group gathered in a narrow corridor, clutching dossiers and exchanging tense glances, lost, unsure of what to do next. One proposed to destroy the evidence before anyone else saw it, but another restrained him. In that moment, the weight of concealed truths pressed down, stronger than ever. Now! The pieces started falling into place. The picture was clear. Powerful players hide behind layers of deception, their influence stretching across borders and institutions. The silence among the elite was deafening, unspoken fears, invisible threats. Yet, amidst this chaos, a single question echoed: what is truly hidden behind all the masks? The answer, dangerous and complex, lurked deep within the shadows of Moscow's corridors. An unseen war was brewing, one that enveloped the city in a web of secrets, truths too perilous to reveal. As the network's invisible threads began to tighten, Belozov sensed the approach of an inevitable storm. The silence prior to this was merely the calm before the explosion, a moment hanging in the air, fragile but deadly. The shadows of the past were dark and deep, waiting for the right moment to emerge, revealing a history of betrayal, corruption, and unseen battles for control. Every step he takes now is fraught with danger, every decision a matter of life and death. The city holds its breath, unaware that a silent revolution is quietly underway, ready to shatter the illusion of stability with one brutal truth. Just a few minutes ago, chaos erupted across Russia. An unknown force unleashed a shockwave, shaking the very foundation of power. Andrei Belozov, long regarded as a calm, pragmatic technocrat, suddenly shattered his image. He stormed into Dmitry Peskov's office, demanding answers. Why had 700 million rubles vanished into the shadows? Was there more beneath the surface? Strange faces, dark corridors, hidden schemes? Without warning, he confronted the truth. As he approached the wall where Peskov once stood, no guards, no witnesses, only a ticking time bomb ready to explode. Why now? What secrets had he uncovered that compelled him to take such a reckless step? What was hidden within those files, and why was Peskov's name front and center? The answers would shock even the most skeptical. Listen carefully to the full story. You won't believe what he discovered. Make sure to like and comment to support Andrei Ramovich. Now, let's begin. Andrei Ramovich was always a man of swift action. Moving through the quiet city streets before dawn, he carried a folder that felt almost weightless but contained the weight of the entire nation's secrets. The air around him was still, heavy with the scent of frost and anticipation. His office was silent but charged, an electric hum in his ears. That night, a mysterious document had arrived, no calls, no warnings, just a simple package, but inside lay a Pandora's box. The folder's contents caught his eye immediately: numbers, schemes, hidden transactions, more than just numbers. Hidden beneath layers of deception was the name linked to the highest echelons of power, Peskov. The revelation was staggering. Official records told one story, but the documents whispered another, a tangle of offshore accounts, shadowy companies, secret flows of money, nothing linked to official registers. He read the lines twice, stunned. That name, which seemed so solid, now shimmered with suspicion. This was no ordinary leak. It was a gateway to a hidden world, an unseen web that connected elite circles far beyond public knowledge. The quiet hum grew louder as Andrei realized this was deeply embedded in the system, almost like a nervous system pulsing beneath the surface. He closed the file slowly, feeling the weight of what he'd uncovered. Every instinct urged him forward, but caution remained. Stepping back, he placed the folder inside a secure safe and looked into the mirror. A tired, hardened face stared back, one that had seen too much. Yet, beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. Phones started ringing with urgent calls, silent threats, anxious whispers in the corridors of power. As he moved through his office, the atmosphere thickened. A small analytical room awaited him, cloaked in silence, save for the glow of a terminal screen. With trembling fingers, he began piecing together fragments of an intricate mosaic: files, calculations, disconnected pieces from different layers of the system. He saw a structure far more complex than a simple corruption scheme. There was a horizontal network, an autonomous shadow that rivaled the official vertical hierarchy. This was a dangerous revelation, something potentially winning in a game that once seemed lost. The deeper Andrei looked, the more he understood, this wasn't just about money. It was about influence, control, and the mass manipulation of the country's core. The system was alive, a hidden brain that could alter the fabric of the nation. Suddenly, alarms vibrated through his senses. The network seemed to feel his discovery. Indicators flickered, a subtle warning. Influential figures began to call, questions, doubts, fears. Others fell silent, overwhelmed by the magnitude of the truth. The elite could sense the imbalance, an unseen weight pressing down. His every move was monitored. The pressure mounted, a quiet, relentless pull toward catastrophe. And then, it happened. The last connection was confirmed, a link that tied the whole country to a fragile, secret web. One wrong move, and it would unravel entirely. His mind raced: should he stop, or push further? The decision was made, an operation in secrecy. The world was already changing, trembling at the edge of revelation. The facade cracked. Thin, almost imperceptible, but dangerous. Inside, the cracks widened, and Andrei knew the moment of truth had arrived. Sometimes, to see a person's real face, you only need to watch what they conceal. Hidden beneath the layers, a shadow lingered, an infection not just in the documents, but in the very fabric of power itself. The story was only beginning. What lay beneath the surface could tear the nation apart or forge a new order. The question remained: how far would the darkness go? And who was truly in control? The answer was hidden in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered, as the world held its breath. In this tangled web, every secret uncovered is a step closer to chaos. The system is fragile, one push could collapse the entire facade. Yet, beneath it all, a deeper game plays out, one where perception is everything, and the truth is the ultimate weapon. Who will blink first? And will the hidden web finally be exposed? The stakes have never been higher. The chaos is near. And the last card is about to fall. Just 5 minutes ago, something shocking unfolded in Russia that has everyone talking. A calm, methodical man, Andrei Belozov, dared to speak out in a way no one expected. Once seen as a controlled technocrat, today he suddenly demanded answers from Dmitry Peskov, a key figure in the government. His questions were simple but terrifying. Where did 700 million rubles go? Did dark forces hide behind shadows and strange faces to conceal the truth? Without warning, Belozov arrived at the Peskov walls. No security, no witnesses, only a sense of impending doom. Why now? What secrets are hiding behind that facade? Why is Peskov's name at the very center of this murky web? Stay until the end, and you'll be shocked by what unfolds. Make sure to like and comment, support Andrei Ramovich as he navigates the abyss of power and corruption. The story begins with Belozov's relentless rush, like a storm tearing through space itself. In the early dawn hours, he arrives at his office as the city still slumbers, silent, cold, and eerie. Outside, the air is thick with the scent of awakening. Inside, he's a man with sharp features, his gaze like a mathematical calculation. But today, his eyes aren't the same. They burn with a river's strength, calm yet tumultuous. Clutched tightly in his hand is a folder, thin but heavy with secrets. It arrived overnight silent, without warning, hidden behind security that only the highest levels could access. He feels the weight of this document, knowing it's more dangerous than any weapon. As he steps from his car into the city's chilled silence, he's already aware of the storm brewing. The folder contains evidence, documents that don't add up. Numbers that don't match, assets that don't exist, transactions hidden behind layers of shell companies. And then a name hits him. Peskov. Not just a name, but a keystone buried within this tangled web. The documentation reveals a connection, a leakage of hundreds of millions, slipping through dark corridors where journalism and official records never reach. It's the kind of secret that can topple governments. His heart pounds. This isn't mere corruption. This is a deeper, more sinister scheme. It's as if a living organism pulsates within the system, an invisible force controlling everything beneath the surface. He sees the shadows, the unspoken conspiracy that surrounds high offices, guarded by silence and fear. He closes the folder slowly, sense of dread growing. His reflection in the mirror shows a tired face. The weight of decisions presses down on him. There's no turning back now. Yet, as he moves to secure the evidence, the room suddenly fills with noise. An unexpected voice, loud, demanding, disrupts his thoughts. The room is too quiet, yet something feels wrong. Every step he takes echoes with the sound of a ticking clock. The network, those silent puppeteers, are already noticing him. When he checks his secure lines, the digital mosaic forms. Fragmented pieces, hidden truths aligning as a deadly puzzle. What does it all mean? The shadowy structure is real. It spans beyond what he can see, an underground labyrinth where power and influence collide. The line between reality and deception blurs. Suddenly, the entire system begins to tremble, even his inner circle starts to call, questions flashing like lightning. He realizes he's become a target. His own network, once a fortress, now feels like a trap. Yet, he can't stop. The more he uncovers, the clearer it becomes, a catastrophe is imminent. If this secret leaks, it could unravel everything: fears, lives, entire nations. The stakes are now sky high. He knows that tomorrow, a decisive encounter will occur. At dawn, a covert operation will begin, one that will change everything. The game is no longer about control, it's about survival. Power is crumbling, the facade tearing apart with every passing second. Behind the scenes, the true face of the state reveals itself, no longer a structure of control but a fragile shell cracking under the weight of its own secrets. Shadows stretch longer. The truth, like a knife, slices through layers of deception. Andrei Romanovich is no longer just an observer. He's now a player, fighting to expose the hidden, risking everything in the process. The question remains, can he stop what's coming, or will the whole system collapse beneath the weight of its own lies? As the last chain of connections forms on his screen, he realizes the most terrifying truth: the entire country is on the brink of a upheaval so sudden, so complete, it could shatter the illusion of stability forever. This story is just beginning. The systems that once seemed unbreakable are now trembling, ready to fall. Andrei Belozov has glimpsed the core of the conspiracy. But the real shock? The deeper it goes, the darker the truth becomes. Hidden behind layers of shadow. Are you prepared for what's coming next? Because the secrets buried beneath the surface are more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. The game of power has entered its final act, and the outcome could shake the nation to its core. 5 minutes ago, something shocking happened in Russia. A man named Andrei Belozov, once known as a calm and precise technocrat, has just broken a silence everyone thought would last forever. Today, he demanded answers. To whom? To a shadow that lurks behind the corridors of power. The mystery? Where did 700 million rubles vanish? Whispers speak of dark secrets, silent faces, and unseen forces pulling strings behind the scenes. He approached the wall where the powerful hide their darkest truths. Without guards, without witnesses, with nothing but a determined gaze. It felt like a trap from which there was no escape. Why now? What was hidden in the depths of this scheme? Why was Peskov, the key figure, at the very heart of it all? Stay with me. What Belozov uncovered could shatter everything you thought you knew. Listen to this story until the end. You'll be stunned. Sensing the gravity of the moment, he moved with purpose. Belozov's morning was cold and silent, the city still slumbering in an early dawn hush. The streets were empty, no bustling crowds, no rushing sounds, just the faint hum of the city waking up. His eyes, usually sharp and mathematical, flickered with a strange intensity today, like a man standing on the edge of a great discovery or a descent into chaos. In his hand, a folder pressed tightly, its weight almost a burden. It was thin, almost fragile, yet inside it hid secrets powerful enough to shake the foundations of the entire system. That folder arrived overnight. No calls, no warnings. Just stealth, like a shadow slipping through the night. It bore a mark of the deepest secrecy, a symbol only known to a select few, sealed away in the hidden chambers of the Federal Security Agency. Accelerating, Belozov traveled through the city, moving swiftly, shadowed by unseen eyes. Inside the car, the cold metal pressed against his hand, a familiar yet ominous sensation. As he finally opened the folder, the quiet crack of the paper sounded deafening. What he saw froze him in place. It was not a collection of numbers or typical schemes, it was something much darker. The documents revealed a web of connections, transfers, hidden assets that defied official records. The flow of millions through shadowed companies, links to obscure figures, schemes buried deep below the surface. The first 2 readings, he had to read twice. Not because he didn't understand, but because the truth hit too hard. Among the names hidden in the data was Peskov. His name, intertwined in a labyrinth of deception. The documents laid bare the deepest secrets, a covert network hidden behind official masks. It wasn't just corruption, it was control, influence woven into the very fabric of the system. A mechanism so tight that it resembled a nervous system, invisible but deadly. Nobody had seen it before. Now, the picture was clear. Someone had crossed a line, venturing into forbidden territory, breaking the delicate veneer of power. Belozov closed the folder slowly. His mind raced. He placed it carefully into the safe, silence thickening in the room. The anticipation of the quiet grew unbearable. His reflection in the mirror showed fatigue and resolve. He knew what he had uncovered could upend everything, and yet, he felt the weight of it pressing down. In that moment, the room's silence was deafening, no sounds, no footsteps, just the hum of the machinery, like a ticking clock counting down to a moment of upheaval. Suddenly, an unexpected voice shattered the silence. The room's atmosphere changed, an unspoken warning, the quiet before the storm. Every corner, every shadow, felt alive with tension. He moved towards the analysis terminal, a device connected to a hidden network beyond reach, accessible only through layered security. The screen flickered, revealing fragments of a mosaic, pieces of a puzzle that refused to connect under normal circumstances but now revealed a complex web sprawling across the hierarchy. These connections linked families, business groups, and interests that challenged the official narrative. A horizontal power emerges, a shadow ruling beneath the visible hierarchy, a force capable of rivaling the state. The realization chilled him. It was real. It was dangerous. Yet, he didn't know exactly what was happening behind the curtain. Still, he made a decision. Internal investigations could wait. He would act alone, no orders, no instructions. This game had no room for official channels anymore. Almost immediately, the system sensed movement. A subtle shift in the atmosphere, like a premonition of impending chaos. The security fluxed a faint, unsettling wind that whispered of an invisible threat. Influential figures started calling each other questions that no one dared to answer. Others kept silent, feeling the electric charge of an unseen danger crawling over them. The elite, usually confident, now looked at each other with growing fear. Their fortress was cracking. And in the eye of this storm stood Peskov, oblivious, sitting still in his office. Yet his world was already unraveling. The room, once a symbol of control, now felt hollow, cold, filled with a tense silence thicker than glass. His environment was unchanged, the furniture, the paintings, the fine items he loved, all still there. Yet everything was different. The network that connected him, once strong, was now fragile, a thin thread threatening to snap at any moment. He felt it. The energy shift. The quiet tremor beneath his feet. His eyes flicked with awareness as he grasped that what he believed in so deeply was slipping away. His first instinct was to act, to protect himself, to cut the cord. But it was already too late. His network was weakened. His communications blocked. Every move he made now was intercepted, monitored. He reached for his device, a rush of cold metal and plastic beneath his fingertips. His mind raced. The recording, what was captured? Could he stop it? Could he turn back before everything fell apart? The air grew heavier, denser with the weight of impending upheaval. The room's silence pressed against his chest, suffocating yet electrifying. Danger lurked just beyond the horizon. In a place hidden and forbidden, the game changed. The corridors of power, once secure, now echoed with whispers of betrayal. Who was truly in control? Who was the puppet, and who the puppeteer? Questions haunted every shadow, and the answer was crumbling. The mask slid, revealing the chaos beneath. The cracks widened. Everything could fall apart in an instant. In this fragile moment, one thing became clear: behind every lie, every secret, there is truth waiting to surface. The seemingly invincible facade, the walls of influence, began to fracture. The illusion of control shattering in the silent dark. Someone brave or reckless, decided to expose the rot beneath the surface. And that person might be the one who changes everything. Now, the question remains: will the system hold, or will it finally break? 5 minutes ago, something extraordinary unfolded in Russia. A calm technocrat named Andrei Belozov, known for his composed demeanor, suddenly shattered the silence. He stormed into the office of Peter Peskov, demanding answers. Where had 700 million rubles vanished? His voice boomed through the dark shadows, the strangers with blank faces lurking behind him. Without guards or witnesses, he confronted the formidable wall of silence, holding a single, undeniable weapon, a piece of explosive evidence he couldn't ignore. Why now? What secrets had been hidden, and why was Peskov at the very heart of it all? Stay with me, because the story you're about to hear will leave you stunned. Make sure to follow along, support in the comments, and prepare yourself for the unexpected. He always moved at lightning speed, rushing forward as if trying to break through space itself. Early morning found him heading to his office, before the city woke. The streets were empty, silent, almost lifeless, as if waiting for something to happen. In his mind, Belozov was a sharp-eyed predator, a man whose gaze was almost mathematical in its precision. But today, his eyes told a different story, filled with turmoil, as if caught midstream in a river of chaos, ripples swirling with urgent doubt. Clutched tightly was a folder, thin yet heavy with secrets, thin enough to conceal dangerous truths, yet loaded with an unbearable weight of knowledge. It arrived overnight, unannounced, without warning. Carried by a shadowy courier, one of those documents so classified it was never meant to leave the secure chambers of the Federal Security Service. Belazov knew this was no ordinary file, it was a detonator, an alarm bell ringing in the depths of his consciousness. He needed to see what was inside before revealing it to anyone. Inside, instead of numbers or charts, his eyes were drawn to a stark, unsettling truth, a web of deception that twisted through the corridors of power. Facts about assets that never appeared in the official registries, funds that vanished into shadows, and characters whose names flickered with danger, names like Peskov. The realization hit him like a thunderclap: this was no simple corruption. It was something far darker, an intricate mechanism of influence hidden behind layers of secrecy. He poked deeper, and the truth stared back at him, a truth so profound it felt like a nervous system linking the corridors of power, unseen yet pulsating with deadly intent. His facade remained calm, but inside, a storm was brewing. The files revealed a structure that mimicked the official hierarchy, yet was independent, an alternate power source operating behind the scenes, silent but deadly. His fingers hesitated over the folder as reality sank in. This wasn't just about financial fraud. It was about the very fabric of control, an invisible network that manipulated every move, every decision. He closed the document slowly, the weight lifting just a little as he understood the scale of the threat. Moving swiftly, he secured the folder in a safe, a ritual of containment, knowing full well that the moment he recognized this truth, everything could change. The room was eerily silent, as if the walls themselves were listening. A sudden loud noise jolted him, the faint but unmistakable ring of a phone. Its sound echoed like a warning, a signal that he was no longer alone. Every nerve in his body tensed, the air thickened with tension. He stood and stared at the mirror, confronting his reflection. Tired, hardened, purposeful, he could see the resolve there, but beneath it, a deep weariness. He hesitated for a moment. Did he dare make a call? Any movement could betray him. Protocol warned him to stay silent, yet an instinct told him to act. As if sensing danger, the network itself seemed alert, tremors traveling through the corridors of power. His colleagues, the elites, began to sense that something was wrong. Whispers flickered from phone to phone in questions that had no answers. Some preferred silence, others started to panic. The atmosphere grew thick with anticipation, a sense that the walls themselves might collapse. He knew this was only the beginning. The system was trembling, cracks spreading through the facade of control. One misstep could ignite the entire structure. With a deep breath, he moved to his corridor, where strange figures of law enforcement passed swiftly. Their steps were quick, purposeful, hinting at a storm gathering behind the scenes. Navigating through corridors like a shadow, he reached a small, windowless room, an analytical chamber. Inside was a single terminal connected to a secure network. Accessible only through a privileged, secret code. As he waited in line, his pulse hammered in his chest, and vapors of anxiety clung to him like smoke. The screen flickered, casting a pale glow over his face. He began piecing together fragments of data, connections, files, calculations, disconnected dots forming a hidden mosaic. Layers of influence emerged, families intertwined, political groups revealing themselves as parts of a larger, sinister structure. This network didn't obey the official channels, it moved horizontally, challenging the very hierarchy it was supposed to serve. This was more than corruption, it was a shadow empire. A dangerous thought crept through his mind. Could this underground web be rivaling the state's own power? He didn't know, but he was already making plans. He decided to bypass the official hierarchy, no longer trusting the institutions or their protectors. He was alone in this fight, yet powerful figures were already feeling the tremors. Some began calling each other, voices hushed, fears mounting, others froze in silence. The air grew heavy, even the walls seemed to listen. An unseen force swirled, pressing down on everyone, as if a terrible secret was about to explode. Just then, the network sensed his movement, an almost imperceptible shift. The quiet murmur of the elite intensified. Whispers of a coming storm rolled through the corridors, the watchful eyes of powerful players sensing that the fragile facade was about to break. He watched the last link in the digital chain, a tiny confirmation on the monitor, sealing his fears. If he didn't act now, the entire system could collapse, plunging the country into chaos. The moment was ripe for action. A secret operation was set in motion, one that would forever change the course of history. The new landscape was emerging, a dangerous game of shadows, where the facade was cracking, revealing the true power behind the curtain. The cracks were thin, yet deadly. They could shatter at any moment. Sometimes, to truly understand a person, you must look beyond their words and observe what they desperately try to hide. Belozov knew this better than anyone. His years deciphering the machinery of influence told him that the most resilient structures aren't built on transparency but on the unseen sands of secrecy. Hidden underneath layers of false narratives was a shadow world, one where truth flickered like a dying flame. His investigation was far from over, it was only beginning. The building blocks of this concealed empire were crumbling, revealing shadows where nothing should have remained. In this moss-covered labyrinth of lies, every shadow told a story, one only he could unravel. He sat in the narrow, dimly lit room, eyes fixed on the blue glow of the monitor. Around him, silence deepened like the calm before a cataclysm. The screen flickered with a digital life, an intricate network of secrets, a hidden world unfolding. As he peered into the digital mosaic, fragments from old diplomatic archives appeared, clues embedded in childhood memories, mysterious gaps in official records. A young boy grew surrounded by corridors of influence, first in the Middle East, then across Europe. Official biographies painted a different picture from the archives, weak, fragmented traces of a life stretched thin by unseen forces. Some years vanished entirely, erased like footprints in wet cement. The files hinted at a shadow existence hidden among the corridors of power, shadowed by memories his family kept secret. His mind raced, who was pulling the strings? The traces of his past, the whispers of discarded evidence, seemed deliberately obscured. The role of the third-party players was concealed, hidden behind a veil of silence. As he analyzed these fragments, the picture grew clearer, an image of a man mastered by invisible influences. The emergence of this secret web in Moscow, its grand, almost theatrical entrance, was intent on revealing nothing to the untrained eye. Its appearance was majestic, but beneath the surface, it was a maze of manipulation. No one expected such a network to be so meticulously concealed, yet, here it was, silent, deadly, waiting. Belozov understood that the true power lay in the unseen, the shadows that steered the course of nations without a single flag being raised. His mission had only just begun, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The truth was out there, hidden beneath layers of deception, waiting for him to uncover the last piece of the puzzle. Just 5 minutes ago, a shocking event unfolded in Russia that shakes everything we thought we knew. A figure once considered a calm, rational technocrat has suddenly erupted into chaos. His name? Andrei Belozov. Known for his quiet demeanor, today he tore off the facade of political calm and demanded answers from a powerful figure at the heart of the state. In an intense confrontation, he confronts Dmitry Peskov, pressing for accountability. Questions erupt: where did 700 million rubles go? Who behind the shadowy faces and dark dealings? With no security, no witnesses, only a single, unstoppable force, a metaphorical bomb that couldn't be turned away from. Why now? What secret lies beneath this abrupt challenge? And why is Peskov's name in the eye of this storm? Stay with me because what you're about to hear will blow your mind. Witness a man's calm shatter as he dives into the depths of corruption and conspiracy. Andrei Belozov, once a steady figure in the government's machinery, approaches his office early in the quiet dawn of the city. The world outside is still shrouded in silence, the air heavy with anticipation. Usually, he moves swiftly through space, a man of precision, a man of logic. Today, however, his eyes are different. They reflect a turbulent river, swirling with hidden currents of fear, anger, and resolve. Clutching a folder that's almost too thin to contain the weight of secrets inside, he senses danger. The folder arrives quietly in the dead of night, sealed, with no calls, no warnings, just an ominous message from an unknown source. Its content? Dossiers so sensitive they're locked away behind the walls of the Federal Security Service, documents that threaten to unravel everything. As he steps into the city's quiet streets, he pauses, gazing at the unfolding landscape of shadows and whispers. The folder's significance hits him. It's not just data. It's a revelation of power, corruption, and hidden agendas that run deeper than anyone dares admit. Among the pages, a name stares back: Peskov, synonymous with influence, secrecy, and manipulation. This discovery isn't just a leak, it's a bombshell. Andrei's mind races, analyzing the tangled web connecting the corridors of influence, the unseen puppeteers controlling from behind the scenes. It's about more than corruption, it's about control, influence over the nation's most vital arteries, the economy, the media, the government. His heart pounds louder with each revelation. The loose threads of a vast, hidden structure threaten to strike back. Who? What? He understands that exposing this could ignite a chain reaction, chaos or reform. How far does this conspiracy go? And what will be his role in the coming storm? With grim determination, he seals the folder in a safe, but the storm within him is just awakening. The city's silence is broken by an unseen tension. Secret agencies, unseen eyes, they are watching. The connection has been made. The invisible war for power is about to escalate. Belozov moves quickly now. He notices the subtle shifts in atmosphere, whispers, the faint clicking of unseen devices, the sense that danger is creeping closer. He's no longer the calm technocrat, he's a man on the brink, trapped in a web of lies and shadows. He escapes the office, walking through the narrow corridors of power, where shadows dance like ghosts in the flickering light. Memories of his past, when his voice could influence decisions, when his words could open doors or shutter entire channels, flash before him. But today, no one listens. Not anymore. Yet, he clings to a last thread of influence, a final move in this dangerous game. His fingers fly over the keyboard, attempting to send a cryptic message, a strategic strike into the information battlefield. He must create confusion, a fog thick enough to obscure the real threats. Suddenly, the screen flickers, a list appears that he never expected to see. An unknown input, an unexpected shift. The digital landscape he commands is suddenly alive with unfamiliar data, tying together networks, hidden interests, and covert alliances. The truth is unraveling faster than he envisioned. He realizes if he doesn't control the flow now, chaos will consume him. The delicate balance of power is trembling. The old order is crumbling, and with it, the foundations of trust and authority. What's coming next? The game's rules are changing. A deliberate move to manipulate the narrative, to set the stage for the next phase of power struggle. But the question remains, who's really behind this chaos? Andrei Belozov's every action is a piece in a deadly puzzle. The walls are closing in. The shadows deepen. The line between truth and deception blurs. Are we witnessing the beginning of the end? Or a new dawn? Stay tuned, because the real story has only just begun. 5 minutes ago, in Russia, something shocking unfolded, something that could shake the very foundations of power. Andrei Belozov, known as a calm, pragmatic technocrat, suddenly shattered his image. This morning, he threw aside his usual composure and directly confronted Dmitry Peskov, demanding answers. Where did the missing 700 million rubles go? How could it vanish through shadowy corridors and untraceable faces? Without warning, Belozov stormed up to Peskov's wall, no security, no witnesses, just a dangerous silence and a single, unturning bomb. Why now? Why reveal secrets hidden for years? What schemes hide behind the veneer of authority? Stay until the end, you won't believe what comes next. First, a glance at the man himself. He moves fast, almost like he's trying to break free from space. Today, his sharp, calculated eyes are different, full of storm and river currents, hiding deep fears. Clutches a folder thin, fragile, yet containing monstrous secrets. It came overnight, without warning, a document so dangerous it could cost him everything. Security is tight. No calls, no alerts, just raw silence in the dark. Andrei Romanovich studied the folder's contents with trembling hands. His eyes widened, in disbelief, in horror. The pages revealed a tangled web of corruption, far beyond anything he'd suspected. Numbers, schemes, secret assets hidden, manipulated. But what shocked him most was a name, Peskov. Official records smeared with lies, yet his name was embedded deep within the web of treachery, a revelation that could destroy the very core of power. This wasn't just corruption. It was something darker, something insidious, an invisible network that stretched through the highest levels of government, cloaked in darkness. His mind raced as he saw connections others would never uncover, structures that challenged the very foundations of the vertical hierarchy. A dangerous thought took hold: this system was more fragile than it seemed. No, not fragile, dangerous. And he knew at once, he had to act, regardless of the consequences. No backing down, no hopes of the usual paths. His decision was made, the game had shifted. The city outside was silent, but within, a storm was brewing. Shadows moved unseen, whispers echoing in the dark. The old regime's facade was cracking, thin, brittle. The truth was beginning to surface. Andrei knew that revealing this secret was just the beginning. The real battle was yet to come. The silence he had long trusted was now a weapon turned against him. His only ally was a secret, hidden deep within the digital maze, a web of files and signals connecting distant places, revealing a vast, unseen structure operating beneath the surface. As he pieced it together, he realized this was no ordinary investigation. It was a dangerous game of shadows and lies, a system so layered that no one could fully understand. The more he uncovered, the deeper the rabbit hole went. Someone, somewhere, was watching. Something was stirring, an unseen force ready to strike. He felt it in the air, in the trembling wires beneath his fingertips. The city's heartbeat had changed. The calm was a lie. Darkness was spreading, and the unseen enemies were closing in. His next move would change everything. Because behind the false veneer of stability, a brutal conflict was brewing, one that could tear apart the very fabric of power. And he must be prepared. The real operation begins now. Just moments ago in Russia, something extraordinary unfolded. A sudden turn of events that nobody expected to see. Andrei Belozov, known for his calm, tech-savvy exterior, suddenly shattered the silence. He stormed into the office of Dmitry Peskov, demanding answers. Where did the missing 700 million rubles go? A figure lost in shadows and strange faces. He stood right in front of Peskov's wall, unprotected, without backup. Only a single, unturnable explosive device lay between him and the truth. Why now? Why expose this secret scheme? Why is Peskov's name at the very heart of it all? What force drives Belozov to this breaking point? Stay with me. The story is about to take a shocking twist that will leave you stunned. Now, picture this: Belozov speeds to his office before dawn, as the city is still asleep. The streets are empty, the air thick with a quiet tension. Usually, he's the sharpest figure, with a gaze that cuts like a blade, sharp teeth, a mathematical precision in his movements. But today, his eyes hold a different story. They're deep, swirling with a river of unrest, like a surgeon witnessing an unforeseen shadow in the midst of a routine operation. In his hand, he carries a folder, thin but dangerous. Its contents are shadowed, silent threats cloaked in secrecy. It arrived overnight, without preamble, no warning, just a bundle of confidential files, buried beneath layers of the Federal Security Service's guarded doors. Belozov heads out to see the city, casting a glance through the window before opening the folder. The heavy silence inside his car is broken only by the faint hum of the engine. As he studies the contents, anything but numbers and figures leaps out, something that hits him with a force that's almost visceral. Diagrams, encrypted transactions, bank movements, none of it aligns with official records. Instead, it points into the depths of a hidden world, a web of corruption and influence far beyond normal reach. His eyes scan the pages twice, not out of confusion, but because the truth is too clear, too dangerous to ignore. Among those lines, a name resounds: Peskov. That name, once a partner, now a pawn in a dark game. This revelation drops him into a different reality, an unseen truth beneath the surface. The official channels hide more than they reveal. Deep in those clandestine corridors, something far worse lurks, an organism of influence, a nervous system unseen. No one sees it, yet everyone feels its silent heartbeat. And now, he's discovered something that goes beyond corruption, something that undermines the very fabric of authority. Belozov closes the folder, his mind racing, heart pounding. He places the dangerous document into a secure vault. But the moment is not over. The room's silence is shattered by a sudden noise, unexpected, loud, startling. His every instinct alerts him. There's no turning back. He looks at his reflection in the mirror, eyes tired but fierce, a man who's just uncovered the deepest secrets of the state. His face betrays his thoughts, he's exhausted yet determined. What decisions lie ahead? How far does this web extend? He reaches for his phone, hesitates, no call. No. An action like that could seal his fate. Instead, he moves to the corridor, where unusual activity is brewing. The police are passing by, unusual, alert. Those were no ordinary officers. They're part of a system that's already aware of the storm approaching. Inside a small, windowless analytical chamber, he accesses a secure network. Flickering screens illuminate his face with a cold, pale glow. Slowly, piece by piece, he forms the mosaic. Files, analytics, hidden links, connections he never imagined. The network of influence isn't vertical alone, it runs horizontally, side by side, with powerful groups competing among themselves, dangerous and unpredictable. A single thought gnaws at him: this is a threat that could destabilize everything. Decisions must be made. Internal investigation? An operation? Time runs out. The quiet whispers of the elite become audible, silent but felt. They sense the coming storm. Some call each other, questions swirling, others go silent, waiting. The atmosphere hums with tension. He understands, there's a crack in the facade, the thin, fragile shell of control. And soon, it will shatter. He acts. A secret command is given, a message sent through a covert channel. The operation begins. The new reality is taking shape, dangerous, unpredictable, deadly. This web of influence is not just a conspiracy, it's a collapsing empire. Yesterday, he pressed the button that linked him to a critical adversary. Now, the game changes, no turning back. Suddenly, everything is shifting. The landscape of power is crumbling. The safety he relied on is an illusion. The web of influence is a dangerous beast, ready to swallow everything. The crack is growing wider. For Belozov, the only choice was to act. But the question remains, will he manage to stop the avalanche before it destroys everything? Or will he become just another piece in the chaos? The answer is lurking just beneath the surface, waiting to surface, ready to explode. Everything's connected, the unseen strings pulling at the pillars of power. The past and the future collide in a deadly game of secrets. The shadows deepen, the truth hidden beneath layers of deception. And as the storm approaches, one question lingers: how much longer can this fragile illusion hold? The final act is near. Are you ready to face what's lurking behind the curtain? 5 minutes ago, a shocking event unfolded somewhere in Russia. A man, long regarded as a calm, logical figure, a technocrat, suddenly shattered his quiet existence. His name is Andrei Belozov. This morning, he dramatically revealed a secret that could shake the very foundations of power itself. He demanded answers from Dmitry Peskov, a figure whose silence for years now seemed suspicious. Where did 700 million rubles vanish? What dark dealings lurk behind shadowy faces and hidden backgrounds? Without warning, Belozov stormed to Peskov's wall, no security, no witnesses, just a core of raw intent. There was a core of explosive truth he couldn't turn away from. Why is he doing this now? What lies have been buried in the scheme? Why is Peskov's name front and center? Stay tuned, by the end, you'll be stunned. Let's begin. Andrei Ramovich Belozov was known for his speed rushing through life, trying to control space itself. Early morning, he arrived at his office as the city remained still, almost asleep. The usual grid of the city streets stretched out, silent and cold under a gray sky, scent of damp asphalt lingering in the air. Inside, he was a figure with sharp features and a calculating gaze, like a mathematician analyzing a complex equation. But today, his eyes carried a different weight, a quiet storm. Inside him, a river of unease flowed like a seasoned surgeon observing shadows on an X-ray, too swift to describe what he saw. In his hand was a folder, thin yet ominous, holding secrets that could topple governments. It arrived last night, an unwelcome visitor, no calls, no warnings. Only a clandestine stroke of darkness hidden behind the sealed walls of the Federal Security Service. As Belozov stepped outside into the cold, he lingered near the window, gathering himself. Outside, the city's hum was distant like a nervous whisper. Finally, he opened the folder. The first thing that struck him was not figures or charts but the feeling, a creeping sense of dread. Inside, documents revealed a tangled web of assets, fake transactions, and covert operations. The names listed were familiar, but wrong. Numbers moved like shadows, slipping through shell companies, untraceable and vigilant. His eyes scanned twice, not out of confusion, but recognition. Among the lines was one name that felt like in punch, Peskov. Official reports buried this link deep. But the hidden message was clear, a connection to a secret scheme with the power to destabilize everything. That name, Peskov, was a fragment of this dark puzzle, an anchor in a murky sea of corruption and control. The image that appeared on the screen wasn't just about money, no, it was something more insidious. It was hidden deep within the mechanics of influence, a network so vast it was almost organic. It resembled a nervous system, silent, pervasive, impossible to detect from the outside. It wasn't just corruption, it was a web of invisible strings pulling at the entire state apparatus. Belozov closed the file slowly, taking a breath laced with tension. His mind raced, what had he uncovered? What was hidden behind this labyrinth of lies? He moved the folder to the safe. But a strange feeling lingered, an unshakable sense that he had crossed a point of no return. His reflection in the mirror betrayed his exhaustion, yet his eyes burned with determination. Suddenly, a loud noise broke the silence, unusual, deliberate. His instincts kicked in. No room for mistakes now, the stakes were too high. The silence that followed was tense, detectable, almost tangible. The network was sensing his move. Every breath, every flicker of movement was monitored. Bell alarm bells echoed in his mind, something unseen was approaching. He knew his enemies were watching. Every step, every action, was under scrutiny. He swiftly headed to a small analytical room, cold, windowless, filled with a single terminal. This room was a nerve center, a cockpit for the invisible war he had entered. On the screen, mosaics of files and calculations appeared, fragments of a mosaic revealing the true scale of the conspiracy. Different families, different interests, interconnected, an underground structure capable of challenging the official hierarchy. This realization was devastating. Such a horizontal network threatening the vertical power system was unprecedented. The thought sparked fear, could this network be more dangerous than anyone imagined? He didn't know everything yet, but he knew enough. He decided his next steps wouldn't be influenced by the internal forces or official channels. No, this game wasn't about sanctioned investigations. It was about survival, about control. The situation was rapidly escalating. Suddenly, his fears materialized. An alert went off, the network responded, sensing his probing. The elite moved into action, some calling, asking questions with hidden agendas. Others choosing silence, a silence that spoke volumes. Belozov understood they sensed the same threat. But he refused to panic. He continued to work, analyzing the signals. The connection points were confirmed, they linked the country's key nodes, the very heart of the system. If left unchecked, this underground web could turn the nation into a steel trap. Destruction was imminent unless he acted. Minutes before, he had pressed the button to initiate a covert operation linked to the very person he now suspected. A tight circle would convene at a designated time. And then, the real operation would begin, silent, precise, deadly. The fragile facade was crumbling. The cracks wide enough to swallow everything. In this chaos, the true face of power was revealed, hidden behind layers of deception. To understand a person, one must see what they hide, and Belozov knew this better than anyone. His extensive experience with the machinery of state proved one thing: the strongest structures aren't built on truth but on secrets buried beneath layers of sand and silence. And as he sat in that narrow room, staring at the glowing screen, he realized the dark shadow had already begun to spread. The infection was deeper than anyone thought. Old archives and memories held clues, fragmented, weak, almost erased, like whispering ghosts of a past that refused to stay buried. His mind raced. What if the hidden history was not merely the past but the key to the future? Every document, every line of code, was a piece of the puzzle, a puzzle that might end with chaos or control. The question was, how far does this web stretch? And who is truly controlling whom? He knew one thing: the moment of truth was near, and the darkness was closing in. In the shadows of the city, power was a fragile illusion, one that could crack at any moment. Belozov's discovery pushed him into the heart of a dangerous game, one where betrayal lurked behind every corner, and the line between friend and enemy blurred beyond recognition. The question remained: who would survive when the facade finally shatters? After assessing the situation, the agent understood one thing clearly: the eradication of this system was impossible. For centuries, its roots had grown deep, intertwined with every layer of power. And yet, the question gnawed at him: could he truly dismantle what had been carefully embedded in the fabric of the nation? He moved closer, each step a silent challenge. The air was thick with anticipation. The device in his hand thrummed softly, like a heartbeat that refused to stop. His eyes sharpened as he gazed at the cracked facade of authority before him. The phrase echoed in his mind: a clean path for those who live after us. But was there really a way forward, or was it just an illusion? In that moment, a shadow flickered in the doorway. Two figures appeared, their presence as faint as whispers against the bright background. One glanced sharply at the other, then approached, their movements precise and deliberate. The agent saw their faces, the surprise, the unspoken warning. Suddenly, the phrase "your time is over" broke the silence. Not as a threat, not as accusation, just the cold, undeniable truth. The words floated like icy knives, sealing the fate of those involved. The room grew colder, the silence more oppressive. Inside, a realization dawned: this was not about defeat, but the end of control. The system's veneer was cracking, finally revealing its fragile core. He stared out into the city far below, its skyline a jagged shadow, whispering secrets only he could hear. The city's pulse pounded in his ears, each beat a reminder that now, everything was at stake. The weight of what needed to be done pressed upon him. The time for hesitation had passed. As he stepped back, the door swung open, a signal. The driver, a figure shrouded in silence, entered. The agent, emotionlessly, turned away. He knew this was only the beginning. The struggle to free the nation from its unseen chains was just starting. The question lingered: could anyone truly survive the coming storm, or was this the final chapter? 5 minutes ago, something shocking unfolded in Russia. A calm man, once seen as a technocrat, suddenly shattered the silence. Andrei Belozov, known for his composed demeanor, confronted Dmitry Peskov with accusations that cut deep. He demanded answers about the vanished 700 million rubles, slipping away through shadows and secret corridors. Without security or witnesses, he faced the wall, standing there as if a bomb was about to explode. Why now? Why expose Peskov's hidden schemes? And what dangerous secrets link him directly to the heart of power? Stay with me, you won't believe the revelations ahead. Andrei Belozov always moved quickly. His thoughts raced faster than anyone could follow as he entered his office early this morning, before the city stirred from its slumber. Outside, the streets were silent, nearly breathless, like a city holding its breath before a storm. Normally, his eyes reflected a sharp, almost mathematical focus. Today, they shimmered with something darker, like a river in flood, chaotic and uncontrollable. Clutching a thin folder, he felt its weight. Though it was barely a kilogram, its contents threatened to topple entire power structures. This folder arrived overnight, unannounced, sealed tight in a clandestine container, something only top officials could access. It carried the unspoken truth, dangerous, unspoken, and deadly. As Belozov stepped into his armored vehicle, the city's hum faded into a whisper. The night had hidden secrets, but with each mile he traveled, he sensed the unthinkable lurking beneath the surface. Before dawn, he finally opened the folder. What he saw made his heart freeze, not numbers or schemes, but signs of a far deeper, more hidden world. A web of shadowy transactions linked to figures he thought he knew, Peskov's name among them, obscure yet central. The documents hinted at a hidden network thriving behind official facades, an unseen conspiracy manipulating reality itself. The realization struck him: this was no ordinary corruption. It was a system designed to control minds and markets, rooted deep inside the very fabric of the nation's power. His mind raced as he closed the folder, every nerve on edge. No security, no witnesses, just his own resolve. He placed the files in a safe, knowing that exposing this would unravel everything. His reflection in the mirror revealed a man exhausted, yet unbroken. His eyes betrayed a silent calculation. He understood that the game was changing. To challenge the system meant risking everything. He methodically moved through corridors filled with officers, each seemingly unaware of what was really happening. He entered a hidden analytical chamber, a place beyond ordinary reach. It was cold, sterile, illuminated only by the flickering glow of a terminal. Here, behind screens and encrypted layers, he pieced together the mosaic of currents and connections, a sprawling, horizontal network competing with the official hierarchy, a dangerous thought, yet unmistakably true. He saw a hidden structure that challenged the very core of official power. A fragile web, ready to fracture, yet holding on by a thread. The city outside was a reflection of this chaos, a facade of steel and glass hiding the cracks beneath. Every step was charged with tension, every whisper carried weight. Suddenly, a message arrived, a signal from the Core Command. The pulse of the nation itself was shifting, trembling like a living organism. Belozov knew he was now part of something far bigger, something that could blow the entire system apart if left unchecked. The stakes? The future of Russia itself. He authorized a secret operation, set in motion as the dawn cracked open the night. A small, select group was summoned for a mission cloaked in silence. No one could see what was coming. The city's pulse quickened with anticipation, a dangerous energy building beneath the surface. Belozov understood that the fragile facade was cracking. The illusion of stability was a thin veneer ready to break at any moment. When he pressed the button that connected him to the hidden command, a new, brutal reality emerged. It was no longer about power, it was about survival, about controlling the uncontrollable. Now, everything was shifting. The country's core was in danger of fracture, Viktor Belozov realized. The web of shadows stretched far beyond what anyone dared to imagine. In the depths of unseen archives, he uncovered fragments of a secret history, an insider's view of a nation built on illusions, half-truths, and hidden betrayals. Old diplomatic files whispered stories of a childhood spent amid corridors of influence, of shadows that no one could see. The boy grown into this man had learned the art of concealment, living between worlds, between realities. His family's past was blurred, part fabricated, part erased, like footprints washed away in a storm. Every piece of evidence pointed to a deeper game, one played in dark rooms where whispers determined destinies. The appearance of this shadowed figure in Moscow was a symbol, spectacular, almost surreal. The city itself seemed to pulse with this unseen movement, a silent storm ready to burst. Every step he took toward unveiling the truth felt like walking on thin ice, each move could ignite a new chaos. What secrets did the documents hide? What lies concealed behind the polished veneer of power? Each discovery pushed him closer to the edge, closer to confronting a reality where nothing is what it seems. Andrei Romanovich's understanding deepened. Beneath the official surface lies an intricate web, one woven with deception, manipulation, control. The truth is hidden in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to explode. The deeper he dug, the more dangerous the picture became. This wasn't just about money or influence, it was a battle for the soul of the nation. His journey led into a labyrinth of conflicting truths, each revealing a new layer of deception. Old archives revealed fragments of childhood memories, strange, incomplete, blurred by the passage of time. In these whispers of the past, he found clues, traces of a secret world where identities and realities were forged and broken in silence. As the final pieces fell into place, a chilling realization took hold: the entire system was built on sand, fragile and ready to collapse. In this shadowed underworld, even the masks of authority could not conceal the lies. The city's surface was a facade beneath it. The real battle was raging. As Belazov sat in the darkness, staring at the flickering screen, he understood the truth. The fabric of reality was thinner than ever. This secret war, fought in hidden corridors and encrypted networks, could tilt the entire future into chaos. The only question left: who would survive? And who would be consumed by the shadows before the dawn? Just moments ago, a seismic shift unfolded in Russia. A figure long regarded as a composed, methodical technocrat has ignited a firestorm, demanding answers from the highest echelons of power. Andrei Belazov, known for his calm precision, suddenly shattered his reputation, confronting Dmitry Peskov directly. His question? Where did 700 million rubles vanish to? Behind shadowy corridors, strange faces, and dark dealings. He didn't come with armed guards or witnesses, just a single deadly object, a bomb of truth, impossible to turn away from. Why now? What secrets did this scheme hide? Why is Peskov at the very epicenter of this storm? Stay until the end, you'll be stunned by what's uncovered. The story begins with Belazov's relentless pace, rushing through empty streets at dawn. The city was silent, broken only by the hum of anticipation. In his mind, he was a predator, seeking the core of the chaos. Early in the morning, he entered his office, a space echoing with sharp angles and cold steel nerves. Today, his eyes betrayed nothing until his gaze fell on a folder delivered under the cover of darkness, sans warning, just a silent shadow. Inside, encrypted secrets. Vital details that could shake the very foundation of the state. The contents revealed a web of concealed transactions, shifting assets, and hidden flow, everything linked back to Peskov, the very person standing at the heart of power. This wasn't mere corruption, it was something deeper, something far more dangerous. The truth described a shadow system operating behind the scenes, an invisible network fueled by lies, unseen by all but a few. Belazov's calm mask cracked for a moment. His heart pounding, he realized the magnitude. This was not just about money, this was about control, influence, and a secret that could topple entire institutions. The documents laid bare a complex, multi-layered scheme, one that stretched across borders, involving families and interests long thought loyal yet entwined in something sinister. A silent war, fought with whispers and shadows. He closed the folder slowly, weighing his options. Every nerve in his body screamed for action, yet hesitation gripped him. Could he trust anyone? Or was everyone already compromised? His reflection stared back, tired, yet hardened. He knew this knowledge could destroy him, yet he pushed forward, heading to the safe, where the unthinkable would remain sealed, or so he believed. Suddenly, his calm was shattered by a loud noise, a sign that the game had changed. The room was no longer silent. Somewhere nearby, a whisper of danger moved like a ghost. This wasn't just about secrets anymore, someone was watching, waiting for the moment to strike. He approached a high-tech analytical room, an undisclosed bunker where fragments of truth pieced together into a dangerous mosaic. The air was thick with tension. A complex mosaic of files, calculations, and hidden analytics emerged on the screen, an intricate web connecting factions and interests, revealing a horizontal power structure capable of challenging the official government. This revelation was chilling, a clandestine force operating in the shadows, powerful enough to destabilize the entire system. Belazov knew he was no longer just an observer but a target. Every move now carried risk. Still, he decided to act, unafraid of the consequences, determined to expose the unseen war raging beneath the surface. Suddenly, alarms sounded, an unmistakable warning of imminent danger. The elite were on edge. The air grew dense with unspoken fears. Voices oscillated from certainty to despair. Some called for immediate action, others fell silent, sensing the coming chaos. Belazov felt it too, a strange pressure, as if the very fabric of the nation was unraveling. Rival factions, cloaked in darkness, began to maneuver, their whispers echoing in hallways filled with trepidation. In this fragile moment, the once stable hierarchy trembled, ready to collapse at any second. The shadows of the past stirred, and the future hung by a thin thread. He knew the clock was running out. The entire nation was shifting, unpredictable as an earthquake. A countdown had begun, one that could change everything forever. Could he stop it? Or would he become just another victim of the silent war? As the last connection flickered on his screen, he realized this was the start of something unprecedented, a story of betrayal, power, and awakening. It's a game where no one is safe, where truth is a weapon, and secrets are deadly. Brace yourself, what comes next will haunt you. In the shadows of power, the true game was only beginning. The cracks in the facade widened, thin and fragile, yet ready to shatter. Something hidden beneath the surface, waiting to explode. The question remains, who truly controls the country? And how far would they go to keep their secrets buried? Stay tuned, this story has only just begun. 5 minutes ago, a seismic shift rocked the heart of Russia's power corridor. Something unseen, yet deeply felt, clawed through the corridors and all the way to the core of government. Andrei Belozov, once perceived as a calm, methodical technocrat, suddenly ignited a firestorm. He forced the mask of Dmitry Peskov to crack open. His demand echoed with shocking clarity: where did 700 million rubles vanish? How long had they hidden this profound secret? Behind the shadows, strange faces appeared. Did secret deals hide in the dark corners of authority? Why now? What was concealed behind the veneer of silence? As the walls closed in, the truth seemed to ignite, a revelation so explosive it could topple the foundation of the entire system. Stay with us for the story's end, it will leave you breathless. He's always moved fast, rushing through space, trying to grasp the impossible. Today, Andrei Ramovich Belozov entered his office early, long before the city's heartbeat stirred. The streets lay silent, but within him, a storm brewed. A man with sharp features and an intense, almost mathematical gaze. Today it was different. His eyes reflected turmoil, as if he was living through a turbulent river, fighting the currents of a collapsing world. Clutched tightly was a folder, thin, seemingly fragile, that carried the weight of secrets from the night before. This was no ordinary document. It arrived unannounced, with a quiet, almost sinister grace hidden within the shadows of the Federal Security Service. He needed a moment before he could face what lay inside. Peering out the window, he watched the city stir without him, while the world around him was cloaked in a thick fog of uncertainty. His hand trembled slightly as he lifted the folder, feeling its cold surface, an ominous promise of what's to come. As he finally opened it, the atmosphere thickened. Numbers and schemes dissolved into shadows. Instead, what he saw was a web, layers of deception woven through post-war companies, powerful figures shifting assets, hidden from public registers. 2 lines caught his eye repeatedly: Peskov's name. It wasn't just a name. It was a key, one that unlocked shocking truths hidden beneath layers of silence. It was a revelation exposing how the highest officials played games behind locked doors, far from the gaze of journalists and scrutiny. The consternation in his mind grew. This was no simple corruption. It was a labyrinth of influence, control, and manipulation, an invisible puppet master's hand guiding the system. His heart pounded. The machinery was showing cracks, revealing a dangerous new reality. He felt the truth tightening around him, like a serpent coiling, ready to strike. He closed the document slowly, feeling the weight of what he had uncovered. He moved swiftly, securing the folder in the safe, his senses alive to every sound. The room's silence was broken only by the faint hum of the city beyond, an ominous heartbeat echoing the tension inside. His reflection in the mirror showed a man tired yet resolute. The fatigue etched deep into his face, but resolve glimmered behind tired eyes. The weight of the secret pressed heavily, yet he refused to break under it. In the next instant, an unexpected voice shattered the silence. A loud knock. The room's tense atmosphere thickened. He knew trouble was approaching. There was no turning back now, no retreat from the storm he had unleashed. He moved to the analytical room, a windowless space where only a single terminal flickered with pale light. This was the chapter of raw data, mosaics of interconnected files revealing a web of influence and underground network spanning multiple families and interest groups, operating horizontally alongside the official hierarchy. What he discovered was chilling: an alternate power structure, unrecognized yet dominant. It was a dangerous thought, a shadow system that could rival the public authority. The realization made his stomach turn cold, breath hitching for a moment. He didn't fully understand what was happening, but he knew he had to act. The game had turned deadly. Every move was tracked. Every second brought a wave of paranoia. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. The elite felt it too, an almost imperceptible tremor in the air, like the faint scent of an approaching storm. They whispered and paused, conscious that their control was slipping. Silent questions filled the corridors, unspoken fears rising from the depths. The network sensed it as well, reacting like a predator cornered, ready to strike. He observed the ripples, knowing the last link had just been severed. The final connection crumbled, chains of influence broken. The country's most dangerous secret was no longer hidden, it was out in the open. If left unchecked, chaos would erupt, an unstoppable force threatening to unravel everything. As the pressure mounted, he made a decision. The mission was clear. He pressed the button, the secret operation was underway. The cascade of events set in motion a new order, born from chaos. The so-called peace was a fragile illusion, and beneath it, the cracks widened. This covert war was no longer theoretical. It was real. The facades that held power since years past began collapsing, thin cracks forming, then widening. In the shadows of this upheaval, only one truth remained: the system was breaking. Sometimes, to truly understand a man's motives, you must watch what he hides and what he dares to reveal. Belazov knew this better than anyone. His experience with the machinery of state secrets taught him that the most robust institutions are built on silence and shadows, on what is erased and rewritten. In the quiet darkness, he sat before a monitor, eyes fixed on a flickering, blue glow. The screen displayed a web, a tangled mess of influence and control. Like a surgeon dissecting a malignant tumor, he peered into the depths of a hidden world. Old diplomatic archives whispered secrets of a boy born in the corridors of power, raised amid shadows. His background was a maze, disappearing traces, conflicting stories, half-remembered memories. Nothing was what it seemed. His past was a patchwork, documents unmatching, a life fragmented and distorted. A ghostly shadow of international roots haunted the records, but traces faded like footprints in fog. His family history was buried, its details kept hidden behind layers of obfuscation. Every detail pointed to one conclusion: this was no ordinary individual. Someone had carefully crafted a persona, filling gaps where truth was meant to be lost. The files hinted at a deeper infiltration, an undercurrent of influence stretching across continents, obscured by layers of deception. The evidence was sparse but telling. As he explored this labyrinth, the implications grew darker. The shadows he uncovered whispered of secret agencies and hidden forces working beyond the public eye. Even the most elaborate story couldn't hide the presence of a silent, deadly puppet master pulling strings in the dark. The moment he delved deeper, the picture sharpened. A quiet, relentless presence emerged, more unsettling than any visible enemy. It was the structure beneath the system, the unseen mover's hand. The old biographical fragments came alive, revealing a life woven into the fabric of global influence, yet veiled in secrecy. He realized the truth: they had built an empire on lies and silence. And that silence was about to break. In the depths of the city, a vast, cold world of millions of lives silently pulses beneath the surface. Amidst the chaos, the operation's first phase was completed, an incredible achievement, a moment to breathe. Yet, beneath that triumph lies the true challenge: transforming mere actions into a lasting system. The destruction has begun, but the architects remain, lurking in shadows, unseen. The framework is small but effective. The barrier separating the nation from chaos has been shattered, replaced with fragile hope. Somewhere deep within the corridors of power, where cynicism reigns, a shift is quietly unfolding, something that seemed impossible years ago on that distant island. Now, everything looks different, as if the entire landscape is on the cusp of change. But the final chapter still awaits, hidden in the bunker where a single document remains, left behind after the clash with the elite. This place, heavy with the scent of secrets and old fears, signals the approaching climax. The night outside is so dark that it feels like a living shadow, nearly swallowing the last ray of stars. The sky refuses to reveal its beauty, no crown of light, only a muted, muddy fog creeping toward the capital as if Earth itself mourns the impending finale. The bunker is buried far below the city's heartbeat, so deep that even the vibrations of the bustling world above are hushed. It's a place where silence reigns, an ominous prelude to what's coming next. 5 minutes ago, a shocking event unfolded in Russia. Andrei Belozov, a man known for his calm, logical demeanor, suddenly shattered his image. This morning, he confronted Dmitry Peskov, demanding answers about the mysterious disappearance of 700 million rubles. Where did the money go? Through shadowy corridors and faces masked in darkness, an unknown scheme was hidden, a scheme that pulled Peskov's name into its very heart. Without security, witnesses, or warning, Belozov approached the formidable Peskov wall. A single, unbreakable secret lay behind it, a bomb threatening to explode at any moment. Why now? What truths have been buried deep within the shadows? What lies are hiding behind those guarded doors? The answers lie ahead, and trust me, you won't believe what's about to be uncovered. Let's begin. He always moved swiftly. Like a flash of lightning, he cut through the city's silent streets, heading to his office before dawn. The city lay blanketed in an eerie quiet, almost dreaming, no sun, no sea, just the cold fog of early morning. To Belozov, this city was a maze of sharp angles, a place where every glance held a calculated purpose. But today, his eyes betrayed him, they weren't the usual icy gaze. Instead, they reflected a storm raging inside, like a river of chaos threatening to overflow. Clutching a folder that seemed insignificant but was anything but, he entered a world of silent tension. That folder had arrived overnight, no calls, no warnings, only a cryptic message sealed away inside. It was a fragile packet, as thin as a whisper but packed with dangerous truths. A clandestine document. Concealed within layers of secrecy, had bypassed all authority channels, ending up in Belozov's hands through shadows that only a few could navigate. His mission was clear: examine the contents before the city woke, before anyone suspected. Beneath the veneer of an ordinary day, beneath the street noise and distant sirens, a storm was brewing. He watched the city through a tinted window, feeling the weight of the moment. When he finally opened the folder, his eyes immediately caught not dull numbers or dry schemes. Instead, an overwhelming sense of dread washed over him. Everything in this document pointed to the unseen, the hidden names, connections, assets, everything carefully obscured in official reports. And then, his gaze halted on a familiar name, Peskov. The connection was undeniable. The handwriting, the signatures, everything pointed toward a deep-rooted scheme of corruption and control, far beyond public knowledge. This wasn't about small-time theft, it was a massive, unseen web spreading through the corridors of power, feeding off secrets buried beneath layers of silence. The stakes suddenly skyrocketed. Belozov's mind raced. This uncovered truth revealed a concealed network, an intricate structure, capable of rivaling the official hierarchy itself. Could it be true? Was there a shadow government operating alongside the known authorities? The thought sent shivers down his spine. It was a dangerous game, and he knew he'd crossed a line. Still, his resolve stayed firm: he wouldn't back down now. No matter the cost, he had to find out what lay beneath this tangled web. Deep inside, he made a decision. The game was no longer about investigation, it was about survival. He left no room for doubt. His next steps would shake the very foundation of the power system he thought he knew. The room was quiet, but the tension in the air was deafening. Every breath, every heartbeat, echoed like a warning. Suddenly, the digital network responded, a subtle shift, an ominous signal. Belozov felt it in his bones, an unseen force approaching, a threat lurking just beyond sight. His heart pounded, pulses racing. The elite officials around him sensed the upheaval, their conversations shifting into whispers of concern. Something was awakening, something dangerous, and he knew he was a part of it. The game was no longer under his control. He moved into a narrow, windowless room, an analytical space where secrets could be deciphered. The room was sterile, cold, just a terminal and a sealed network connection. Only 4 had access, and Belozov was one of them. As he sifted through fragments of data files, calculations, hidden analytics, the pieces slowly formed a picture. The web reached beyond Russia, infiltrating global networks, tying together families, interests, and covert groups. What he found was astonishing: an underground structure capable of challenging the official hierarchy. Could such a system truly exist? Could there be a shadow realm, pulling strings from behind the curtain? The realization hit hard. The danger was real. The web extended much farther than anyone dared imagine. Suddenly, alarms sounded, subtle but persistent. The network detected his movements. The mask of normalcy cracked, an invisible storm was brewing. Some powerful figures began to panic, calling each other in hushed voices, trying to shield themselves. Others vanished into the shadows, silent. The elite felt the threat before it even manifested, a premonition, a whisper of the chaos to come. Despite the growing threat, Belozov remained calm. He continued working, focused, relentless. His task was vital: to prevent this web from tightening its grip and enslaving the country. As he traced the final links, he saw the ultimate danger: an interconnected system of influence, capable of collapsing the nation from within. He knew he had only moments left. He authorized a secret operation, an emergency task, designed to cut the web at its root. At 9 a.m., he connected 2 key figures, leading them into a trap. The plan was set: a decisive strike against the unseen enemy's core. A new, brutal reality was dawning, silent, dangerous, unstoppable. The cracks in the facade grew wider, louder. The illusion of control shattered. Belozov understood that to truly see a person, you must look at what they hide, and what they are willing to sacrifice. His experience had taught him that the strongest structures are built on lies and secrets, not truth. Deep inside, he realized that the web of influence is like shifting sands, fragile yet deadly. When the hidden system finally collapses, the entire foundation of power will tremble. Andrei Romanovich's journey was nearing its climax, one that would forever change the course of history. Just one document changed everything: its signature marked the fall of an entire regime. Imagine a paper so thin, yet so powerful, holding the weight of a nation's future. On this sheet, old symbols of power vanished, replaced by silence and surrender. A single stroke of ink sealed the fate of the previous elite, leaving only cold reality. What secrets did this paper hide? Who was truly behind this silent revolution? Months of tension boiled over last week. In a dim, hidden bunker, the air was heavy with anxiety. No words, only a tense silence. A man sat alone, his gaze fixed on the table. He remembered the last conversation, those words echoing, "Your time is over." The signature on the top was more than ink, it was the end of an era. An arrest, a forced departure of wealth and influence. The atmosphere was charged with dread, order crumbling, discipline shattered. Now, in the quiet aftermath, he gently touched the fragile sheet. It felt cold, real, no illusion, no flash of sunlight to hide behind. That's all it was: paper, unyielding. Calmness washed over him, detached yet intense. He examined the signature again, each mark a symbol of unseen power. Each point represented a seat of influence, a dark seat held in shadow. They had all formed a complex web, invisible yet unbreakable. Now, those threads were unraveling, and he knew, everything could fall apart if you understood its anatomy. He carefully placed the document back into its cover, sealing the moment. A single palm rested on the surface, as if holding the last fragment of control. Rising silently, he strode toward the exit. Footsteps measured and steady. The tension inside the bunker was deafening, like a whisper of panic echoing through concrete corridors. The country no longer belonged to the old guards who had kept it in their grasp. Now, it belonged to those who protected it from chaos. He paused briefly, allowing the heavy silence to settle. Words began to emerge, slow and deep, and echo beneath the earth's surface. These words carried weight, resonating beyond the physical walls. As he turned away and took another step, the sound grew heavy, deliberate. Each stride marked the end of a long epoch, a past crumbling into dust. The old walls, once symbols of control, were disappearing behind him. He knew the path ahead was long, but forward he went toward an uncertain future with nothing left to hold him back. Doors swung open, revealing a corridor bathed in cold, fleeting light. Shadows danced on the walls, whispering secrets buried deep beneath the surface. Every step was a reminder, the old order is broken, irreversibly replaced. Yet, within the silence, a new chapter begins, forged in the aftermath of silence and shadows. Deep into the new world, the figure moves, uncertain, yet driven. The bunker is empty once again. On the table lies the final document, an undeniable witness to the collapse of the old elite. All that remains is the resonant silence of a bygone era, the echoes of voices, breathless whispers fading into the void. Stories like this rarely conclude with a grand finale. Instead, they end with silent steps, treacherous, unseen, marching through corridors unnoticed. But occasionally, a single person possesses the power to alter history's course. To refuse to be a mere place of refuge, a slave to destiny, or a pawn in chaos. Instead, to restore what long ago was lost. If you've listened this far, it means you are part of this change. You sense the tension hovering between past and future, shadow and light. Between the relentless speed of destruction and the fragile hope of rebirth. Thank you for following this journey. If this story resonated with you, honor it by reflecting on what it reveals. Share your insights, your thoughts, your feelings. Every story matters. Every voice counts. Together, we move forward into the unknown, shaping the future one step at a time.